into Geodis Park and get closer, bolder, and golder at Nashville SC's. Single match tickets are on sale now at nashvillesc.com/singletix.
Don't go through another summer with that awful joint pain. Call QC Kinetics now. Willie Donick here. That pain in your back, your knees, your shoulder, it can now be treated with the latest in precision medicine using natural biologic growth factors that can restore and repair damaged tissue. Really exciting stuff. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, giving you access right here to this modern-day joint pain solution. You can get lasting joint pain relief with no drugs, no steroids, no downtime, and no surgery. You may have heard Emmett Smith raving about QC Kinetics. You've read or seen other high-profile people talking about it. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics can help you get your life back. So take action now. Get a free consultation. Powerful, effective joint pain treatments with natural biologics are here. So call QC Kinetics now. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN
102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Karen Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company featuring Caroline Fenton is live today from the Hillside Medical Game Studios at First Horizon Park. The Sounds and the Louisville Bats, my two favorite AAA teams, getting ready to do battle tonight out here at First Horizon Park. It is a very fun day for me. And we're streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live, thanks to the offices of Amanda Gentry. And I just want to say this before anybody, before we get right into the nitty-gritty of everything else, which is for years and years and years, the Bats never played the Sounds because the Bats were in the International League, which didn't make a whole lot of sense to me because I didn't think there were any Canadian teams in there, but somehow it was the International League.
Is Louisville International?
No.
Mr. Worldwide.
And the Sounds were in the Pacific Coast League, which also didn't make a lot of sense because Nashville, I don't know if you've looked at an atlas lately, but is not on the Pacific Coast. It's like on the Percy Priest Coast. And so
they could be talking about that.
It never made any sense to me. So the Sounds never played the Louisville Bats. They never played the then Richmond Braves, later Gwinnett Braves, now Gwinnett Stripers. And so Major League Baseball came in and basically said to AAA, hey, we're taking over. And now the Sounds get to play all the teams that I like. And I'm like, where was this when I was 8 years old at Greer Stadium? Like, where were the Braves for 6 straight nights? Boy, that would have, oh my God, my parents would have hated that. 6 straight nights of Braves baseball. Where was that? Braves AAA ball. Where was that when I was a kid? So now we got it, and the 6 games at a time I think is awesome. And so you got 6 games against the Bats. Great seats available, I'm sure, for all of them. They got the bandbox, of course. They got the berm, third and home. Stop by there before the game. They've got it all. They got all the stuff for the kids and all the inflatables that'll be up. And then you got some great baseball on top of it as well. So I'm a huge proponent of being here today, and I'm a huge proponent of today's game. And I have now talked for 2 minutes about tonight's Sounds game. But you know what? Shout out to the Sounds.
Let's go Sounds.
Shout out to the Sounds. We're big Sounds fans here. All right. So I want to start on this. I woke up today. By the way, I got my Peterson's for Parkinson's Foundation shirt on. Coach Peterson told me that he wants me to be positive. So saw him yesterday at the golf tournament. Coach Brent Peterson. If you don't know Coach Pete, long-time Barry Trotz assistant. Now he works for the Predators. He obviously has Parkinson's, was an assistant coach, diagnosed the Predators. He stays in the family. Coach Pete wants everybody to know, or I don't know if he wants everyone to know, he wanted me to know that he is demanding positivity now until December 25th. That is how long.
So post-Christmas, we're just going to turn things around?
I don't know. We didn't get that far.
Okay.
So I don't know.
We'll reevaluate around Christmas time.
We'll see how that works out. But that's what Coach Pete wants.
Happy to hear we'll be positive until then.
I do want to start on this. So every day, like during the football season or even during like the hockey playoffs or the trade deadline, it's really easy to program a radio show. It's really easy the Monday after a Titans game to figure out what you're going to talk about on the radio. It's much different come the summertime because you could talk about this or you could talk about that or, what's the most important thing? I don't know. And so I woke up this morning and I was like, I don't know what we're going to talk about. We'll probably talk about Titans here, probably talk about it there. I might, see what Caroline's thinking, whatever. And then all of a sudden as I go through, I listen to Robbie and Rexroad, see what they're talking about every morning. And then I go see, what all's going on at ESPN or whatever. So I clicked on NFL Network Radio on Sirius XM. And Mike Vrabel was on, and I'm like, okay, I got to listen to this. Sirius XM NFL channel has become the official Malik Willis, Ryan Tannehill station. In all seriousness, I'm a little jealous because I thought that we were the 24/7 Ryan Tannehill show, but apparently not. So they were talking that Charlie Weiss, longtime Patriots coach, has got Vrabel and Solomon Wilcots, and so they're all buddies, and Vrabel even started the interview saying, I love doing these kind of interviews because you guys are football guys. And say, okay, we got it, Mike. But Charlie Weiss, who was very critical of Tannehill, asked Vrabel about Tannehill and Malik Willis. And before we play the clip, I just want to say for you this. I believe Tannehill's answer the other day might have been the best thing that ever happened to the Titans. And I will explain why. Here's what Vrabel said this morning on NFL radio on Sirius XM.
You went and drafted a very highly touted quarterback, Malik Willis, that I thought that was a great pick in the third round. How do you think, after I saw you supported what Tannehill had to say, and I understand that, but how do you think that, that's going to work? Do you think that Ryan really will end up being somewhat of a mentor for Malik?
All I can tell you is what I saw yesterday when they were both on the field together. And it looked like a team with three quarterbacks that are all supporting each other and two veteran guys that have been here that understand the drills that are helping the younger player. And that's all I can go by is what I saw yesterday. And I would say that was extremely positive.
Okay, so that's what Vrabel said. And when I heard that, because nobody could have been at yesterday's off-season voluntary practice, workout, whatever, so nobody could have covered it, I think Vrabel's telling the truth. Now, again, we talked about the Titans and their propensity to not tell the truth and how we sometimes have to be worried about that. But knowing what I know of Tannehill, I think Vrabel's telling the truth. And what I tell TD last week when I said I've got a hot take about rookie minicamp, and he was like, how can you have a hot take about rookie minicamp? And I said, I think knowing what I know of Ryan Tannehill, that regardless of all the noise, by the time the rookie minicamp is over or whatever, I think Tannehill and Malik Willis are going to be really good friends. And TD did not disagree with that. And so flash forward to now. I think that Ryan Tannehill's response 2 weeks ago to my question about Malik Willis and the dynamic in the room of the fact that Malik Willis is there to take Tannehill's job long term, and his response about that long-winded answer of basically, I'm here to do my job and he's here to do his job and we'll be together, but it's not my job to mentor him, but if he learns something good, that got totally blown out of proportion. Might be the best thing that ever happened to the Titans. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when you say something and you slip up, you have to address it. And so Tannehill, and we were talking about this off air, this was all a doing of his own.
He was not baited into that.
And as somebody who has baited people into things before, I was not trying to bait Ryan Tannehill into that. I wanted to know what Ryan Tannehill had to say. And last time I checked, that is the point of asking questions. But because of how it came out, Tannehill and Malik Willis, they had talked a little bit, but they really didn't know each other. And all of a sudden, Malik Willis is getting ready to go to Nashville, Tennessee for what may be the beginning of his new life. And all of a sudden, you see all the headlines of this guy being like, not my job, not interested in taking care of him. That's not my job. And you're probably a little off-put by that. Well, Tannehill's in his position, and he probably sees all of that, or at least somebody tells him about the firestorm that was created. And now Tannehill knows, like, okay, I've got to address this. And Malik Willis said as much on Friday when he said we chopped it up. He had us all over for dinner, because they had to address it. As opposed to if Tannehill hadn't made that comment and Tannehill didn't say anything, and then there was this kind of air of awkwardness between them because Tannehill knows that Malik's there to take his job, and Tannehill is trying to keep Malik from taking the job, and it's kind of unspoken that you both know what's going on, but you don't want to talk about it because it's awkward, then that can make for an uncomfortable situation. When you say something that comes out different than probably, he interpreted it to mean, then you could say, dude, that's not what I meant. I'm glad you're here. I want you to be here. I want you to learn. I want you to, it's the coach's job. And it almost allows everybody to kind of define the roles. It allows them to set boundaries. And I think that's actually important. There are clear boundaries right now at the Tennessee Titans. Ryan Tannehill is the starter. Malik Willis is either the backup or the third stringer, but Malik's job is to learn. Malik's job is not to play. It is not to be worried about the Colts. It is not any of those things. His job is to just get better at football. The coaches' jobs are well defined at, hey, they're the ones in charge of Malik. Ryan, you worry about the Colts. You worry about the Bills. You worry about week 1 against the New York Giants. Malik, you worry about what the coaches tell you to be worried about. And I think it's the best thing that happened to the Titans. I fully believe what Vrabel said, that he walked out on the practice field yesterday and Logan Woodside and Ryan Tannehill were trying to help Malik Willis through the drills. And now that everybody knows where they stand and everybody knows how everybody else feels and there's no animosity and it all got hashed out before they even took the field together, something that Tannehill just got raked over the coals for 2 weeks, I am now convinced might be the best thing that happened to the Titans, or at least the quarterback situation surrounding the Titans. Because you know that if they hadn't discussed this, there would have been some kind of awkwardness between them. Like everybody, Malik Willis, that's first-round hype. And so now I think the roles are defined, the coaching roles are defined, the relationship is defined. The friendship is probably defined of, hey, we're friends. We want each other to do well. But at the end of the day, he knows I got to worry about my job, and I know he's got to worry about his job. And I think that's better than not addressing it. I think it's better than not talking through it. And like I told TD last week, knowing what I know of Tannehill, and I'm not convinced Tannehill would be the best person to mentor anybody anyways, no disrespect. But knowing what I know of Tannehill, I believe that he and Malik Willis are ultimately going to become really good friends. Because I don't think Tannehill is like Ben Roethlisberger or like Aaron Rodgers or like Brett Favre or like any of these guys who just turns his back on the other guy. In fact, when people talk about Alex Smith, and about what he did for Patrick Mahomes. Now, look, 2 first-round picks, Patrick Mahomes was going to be the quarterback of the Chiefs. I don't know if Malik Willis is going to be the quarterback of the Titans. It'd be nice. But the Titans kind of have this buffer of if Malik's not that good, then they can move on whenever they want to and go get somebody else. Whereas you spend 2 first-round picks on Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback of your team. But I got to tell you, just after what Vrabel said today, and I listened to Robbie and Joe talk about it, and they were like, oh, Vrabel doesn't want to talk about it. He's just brushing it off. Or maybe, but I don't think Vrabel was lying about that. And I think that's a really good sign. And harmony in a locker room is so important. And the smallest issue that got blown into this big whole discussion thing was addressed well before it ever mattered. This is my long-winded way of saying all the bad things that people were saying about Tannehill, I think actually are good for the Titans now.
I don't know if I can fully get on board with the fact that if this hadn't happened, if Tannehill hadn't said, oh, I'm not going to mentor Malik Willis, that they wouldn't have already addressed it. Because the Titans fully understand that Malik Willis had first-round hype. The Titans fully understand, Mike Vrabel preaches it more than anyone, that culture, harmony in the locker room, leadership in the locker room.
He doesn't preach harmony in the locker room.
Culture?
Culture and harmony in the locker room are not the same thing.
How?
Because culture...
If everyone hates each other, then you don't have very good culture.
Culture is everybody pulling the rope in the same direction, doing their job and doing what the coach tells them to do. Harmony in the locker room is everybody being buddy-buddy. Harmony in the locker room is what we have right now with the Predators, where Ryan Johansson goes on Robbie and Rexroad and says, "This is the most fun season I've ever had." And it's like, you mean the year you guys won the President's Trophy wasn't the most fun season you ever had? You know, like the Preds, you listen to those exit interviews. I mean, those guys love playing on this team. They love everything about it. Doesn't make them any better at winning hockey. You know, I think there's a little bit of uneasiness. Like, I think Vrabel even talked about it on the SiriusXM interview today, where he was actually talking about his kid, and he was saying that he didn't think it would be a good idea for his son to play for the Titans because he knows that the players, like, under their breath probably talk bad about him, and he didn't want his son to be involved in that, which makes sense to me.
I get that.
I mean, so, but I hear what you're saying, though. I hear what you're saying.
I think that I don't mean being buddy-buddy in the locker room. I mean that everyone is on the same boat with whatever the task is at hand. I do think it would have been addressed. It was hyped up so much more because Ryan Tannehill said that. It became a national story because Ryan Tannehill said it. But I don't think that just because Ryan Tannehill said he didn't want to mentor Malik Willis doesn't mean that there weren't going to be clear roles established. Because I think the Titans fully understand both the animosity in this city toward Ryan Tannehill, how much they're going to be wanting Malik Willis to start, and how much hype there was surrounding Malik Willis. I think that would have been the first thing they would have done is squash all of that, establish clear roles, and make sure that everyone in that quarterback room, everyone in the locker room knows the job that they need to do.
I don't know, man. Like, it's a passive, like, yes, but the league itself is passive aggressive. Let's pick this up. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. I've been in a church before where, and I'm not even Christian, but I've been in a church where, you know, sometimes the pastor says something and you just, amen. You know that feeling?
Yeah.
Mike Vrabel said something today on that SiriusXM interview that I hit the table, I said, amen. We'll get to that coming up next. Right here, Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Blood Assurance, your community nonprofit blood center, will be at the Bellevue Picnic this Saturday, May 21st, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and will be giving away 2 pairs of tickets to an upcoming Nashville SC game. Save 3 lives in your community and be entered to win when you donate with Blood Assurance. This Saturday at the Bellevue Picnic. Visit bloodassurance.org/picnic to sign up.
Curation CBD is a local family-owned business started and grown right here in Middle Tennessee. Curation's mission is to provide the community with locally and organically sourced CBD products for everyday use. Curation means healing, and their CBD products will do just that. Curation CBD is a certified Tennessee product and is available at the Painted Tree in Franklin. Or visit them online and order now on their website at curationcompany.com. Use promo code DDC25 at checkout for 25% off Curation CBD. Curation, CBD products curated for life.
Hey everybody, it's me, Chase McCabe, and I'm so excited to be talking about my go-to drink when I'm out and about, Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Screwball is the first and most awarded peanut butter whiskey in the world. It's an original, just like me, the suit. I take Screwball as a shot, but it's great on the rocks, in an old-fashioned, an espresso martini, and many more. So next time you're out and about, ask for Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2022, Screwball Spirits, LLC, San Diego, California. Whiskey with natural flavors, 35% alcohol by volume.
Introducing the first Nashville location of Mayweather Boxing and Fitness in Midtown. Perfect for all fitness levels. Join a community that will help every person unleash their inner champ with fun, effective, and empowering group boxing circuit workouts. Become a founding member today. Stop by the brand new studio in Midtown at 2041 Broadway, Suite C, or call 629-206-9092 to join the family exclusive. Pre-opening rates now available. Mayweather Boxing and Fitness, the gold standard in boxing fitness.
Attention, buckaroos. It's time for the Franklin Rodeo. So saddle up and hold on to your lasso. It's 3 days of bull riding, calf roping, western wear, funny clowns, and some of the most talented horses you've ever seen. Join the Stampede this weekend. The Franklin Rodeo is held at the Williamson County Ag Expo Park and is brought to you by Franklin Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, Williamson Medical Center, Wesley Mortgage, and Event 1FX. Tickets on sale now at franklinrodeo.com. It's a buckin' good time.
Listen to Stillman & Company with me, Caroline Fenton, all season long on ESPN 102.5 The Game for your chance to win Nashville Sounds tickets courtesy of 312 Pizza Company in Germantown.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman & Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Malik Willis, he actually quoted you after spending some time with Ryan Tannehill. I know Ryan Tannehill, some of the other veteran players, invited the rookies over to his home for dinner. They took the young players in, began to talk to them about the culture of the team. And Malik Willis came back saying, hey, exactly like Coach Vrabel has said, we're one big family here. These guys made us feel like we're part of a family. Just kind of what more can you say about that in terms of the culture that you want to instill with your players so that it spreads from veterans to younger players so that they get it from day one?
Well, I think it starts with, it starts with your personality. I think that we're all extremely blessed to be in this position, to be in the National Football League. We want to be grateful for the opportunity because we don't want to be entitled. We want to try to remove entitlement from our organization and our program, the belief that you deserve something for doing nothing. And it starts there. And it also, really starts with the connections that we make. We ask everybody to be willing to make a connection with the players and the coaches. And I understand that that's going to happen at different levels.
Amen. Do you know what I'm saying amen to right there? By the way, that was Vrabel on SiriusXM NFL Radio this morning. Do you know what I'm saying amen to?
Get rid of entitlement.
Get that entitlement on out of here. And I don't know if there's with Vrabel, when he does these interviews, there's a lot of just generic, like we're all blessed to be in the National Football League. Like he says that all the time, one way or another. That is nothing new. But we want to get rid of entitlement in our organization when nobody's entitled. And I don't know if Vrabel just says that to say that, like if that's part of
oh no,
the Mike Vrabel Edith or
There's
what?
no way he would say that just to say that. Entitlement is a very big word. And also, Mike Vrabel, I think, says things in a very calculated way. He knows exactly what he's saying. You wouldn't just say, I want to get rid of entitlement if you didn't think any of your players were entitled. He very much so thinks there's a good bit of entitlement in that locker room. That's exactly why he said that. He would not just throw that word out there.
So you think, for why I love what he said right there. I mean, as soon as you heard that word, because you hadn't heard this clip.
No.
As soon as you heard that word, you knew exactly why I love this.
Siren went off in my head.
Really?
Yes.
And you think that Vrabel, and because there's a couple of different things. In fact, Elijah, if you could get the one on how Vrabel, about the voluntary workouts clip, if you've got that in there. We were talking about this yesterday. The quote on the Traylon Burks thing about guys think they can get with their trainer and then all of a sudden, it's different when you're out here.
That was his opportunity to send a message to everyone.
And now, what did I say after the season is, everybody, we talk about changing the quarterback and the local media and the fans, you can't change quarterback cap number. It's so big. And I'm like, man, Ryan Tannehill does not own the team. Ryan Tannehill he shouldn't have a guaranteed spot. And, here's Vrabel. And the Titans have done a good job of actually following through on this. Now, it's a lot easier. I could compare it to the Predators, but you have to guarantee contracts in the NHL. You don't guarantee contracts in the NFL. But the Titans, they're the team that shipped Jarrell Casey out of town. So, the Titans are not afraid to sit back and say, hey, man, sorry. And I do wonder if Vrabel is thinking that his guys might be acting a little too entitled and that there may have been a message in that of we want to get rid of entitlement. This is another thing that my head kind of popped up when Charlie Weiss asked him about the offseason program. Because, who cares about the offseason program, right? Mm-hmm. I need you to be there, and I need you to work while you're there. But as far as, phase 2 versus voluntary workouts versus OTAs versus mandatory minicamp versus non-mandatory minicamp versus puking in the grass. Well, I don't know. But this is what Vrabel said today. And you tell me on that same entitlement for 1-2.
Okay, so you got from now until September 11th when you open up at home against the Giants. Basically, what's the layout between now and then? Because I know that you're meticulous. You kind of have this all laid out. How's this laid out between now and then?
Well, we'll finish up here this week with our phase 2 work, which is great work, which is really my favorite time of the season, the off season, is because you get to work with guys that want to be here. Right? This is voluntary. You work with guys that want to be here, that want to focus on technique and fundamentals and conditioning, things that we believe are critical to individual and team success.
I mean, I think he's pissed at somebody.
Well, who are guys that don't want to be there?
I don't know, because we don't know who's there. Because they haven't. So what happens?
That is 100% a message.
So what happens is, like right now, they're working right now, but we're not invited. So I believe next week, maybe it's next week. Maybe it's this week. I don't know. TV would know, but. This, we don't know who's there or who's not. When they have their first on-the-field session, that's when you always see all, the John Glennons of the world looking around, and they check off on the roster who's there and who's not there. And so we don't know who's not there. I have not looked at Derrick Henry's Instagram, or at least gone out of my way. I do follow Derrick Henry, but I have not gone out of my way to look at Derrick's Instagram. I don't know if Derrick's not there. I don't know. But for Vrabel to be sounding off about trainers, entitlement, and highlighting the guys who are there
and want to be there.
Vrabel's pissed about something, and I don't know what it is. Right?
I mean, to the entitlement part of it, I mean, what just happened to the most entitled, I guess, on the outside looking in, the most entitled player on that team?
They shipped AJ out of here.
He just got shipped out to Philadelphia. So I think that was not just a message to AJ. That was a message to the entire team that if you are not in it for the team, if it's all about you get shipped out of here. And I do think it's very much so a message. Like, if you ever watched the show Game of Thrones?
I have not, but everybody else except for me has.
But everything about Game of Thrones, there isn't a single character or conversation or anything that happens in that show that isn't a symbol or isn't foreshadowing or doesn't matter at some point down the line.
Sure.
That's exactly how I view Mike Vrabel press conferences. He drops these little nuggets, and I don't think there's anything that he says that isn't calculated and doesn't mean something.
Okay, so when the Titans lost to the Bengals, and he was like, it's never going to be about one person as long as I'm coach, which is going to be a while, and everybody was like, ooh, what'd that mean? And then he was asked about it the next day. Well, no, I mean, I didn't, say really.
Well, I hope that I can be
just love doing my job. I'm not interested in going anywhere else.
Right. Yeah, kind of covered it up a little bit. But the entitlement, that is a shot at someone. The guys who want to be here, it could be so easy to hear that and that just go right over your head.
So here's
the
question.
But when you know Vrabel, you're looking for it, and that right there just was highlighted in bright yellow, bold font to me.
Who's Vrabel mad at?
Ooh.
Clearly Vrabel's mad at somebody, right?
And I think that it's like a veteran player.
So you don't think this is one of those like Chris Mason the other day about you're good at what you do, but you sensationalize. Like, you think that from these Vrabel quotes over the last 4 days that Vrabel's mad at somebody?
Why would he say it if he's not?
I mean, I think Vrabel's mad at somebody, but everybody gets mad at me when I say things like I think Vrabel's mad at somebody, and there's not hardcore or a proof that says that this guy Vrabel's mad at.
Either he's mad at somebody or he's sending a message just to set the record straight early on in the season. That you're going to work out with our trainers. That if you're a Titan, you will not be entitled. That you will be here. The guys who want to be here, we want them. And anybody else who doesn't want to be here, we don't want them here. It's either a message preemptively or it's a message responding to something. But it means something.
Okay, so I have an idea who I think it is. And I have no way of for sure knowing this. Like, no way. So I'm about to make an accusation that is not rooted in any evidence. Are we okay with that?
As long as we know this is just a gut feeling and it means nothing.
Elijah, are we okay with this?
Hey, I'm cool with it.
Okay, I'll tell you who I think Vrabel's mad at on the other side. 615-737-1025 is our phone number live at First Horizon Park. And I absolutely love every time that we do a show here from a Sounds game, the Jumbotron, we're sitting up in the press box. The Jumbotron just says, game tonight, first pitch, 6:35, Sounds versus Louisville Bats. So I don't even have to, read anything. I just look up at the Jumbotron, game tonight, first pitch, 6:35 versus the Louisville Bats. Come on out. They're here for 6 straight days. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Stillman & Company. We're delivered by TriStar Moving. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
Want the latest on the Predators from the people that cover them?
Heck of a year so far for the Predators. They've been so much fun to watch.
Join Robbie Stanley for Preds Insiders every Monday at 6.
I feel probably as good about this group of 6 on D.
Presented by Dr. Kelly Rice on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. We have a team committed to helping you navigate the court system, whether you've been accused of a crime or you're going through a messy divorce and custody. Call our team to help you navigate this system. We are here to protect your rights, to demand your rights, to enforce your rights. 615-604-6263. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
The deals at Electronic Express are heating up. Prepare for Memorial Day with brands like Charbroil, Yeti, Samsung, LG, Vornado, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. Outdoor living, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home furniture, and more. Plus, save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com with free express delivery. Summer savings at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Don't go through another summer with that awful joint pain. Call QC Kinetics now. Willie Donick here. That pain in your back, your knees, your shoulder, it can now be treated with the latest in precision medicine using natural biologic growth factors that can restore and repair damaged tissue. Really exciting stuff. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, giving you access right here to this modern-day joint pain solution. You can get lasting joint pain relief with no drugs, no steroids, no downtime, and no surgery. You may have heard Emmett Smith raving about QC Kinetics. You've read or seen other high-profile people talking about it. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics can help you get your life back. So take action now. Get a free consultation. Powerful, effective joint pain treatments with natural biologics are here. So call QC Kinetics now. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
There are jewelry stores, and then there's Genesis Diamonds, the cutting-edge industry leader, the pioneer. It's no secret that jewelry stores across America watch what Genesis is doing. Genesis was the first to offer a free lifetime warranty, the first to offer a 110% diamond upgrade guarantee, the first to offer aggressive long-term zero-interest financing. And Genesis is always on the cutting edge in design and fashion. The styles other jewelers say are new and exciting were new and exciting for us 4 years ago. Genesis has the fashion-forward brands other stores aren't even allowed to carry. It's no wonder you see jewelers from other cities coming to Genesis to see what we're all about, and even buy their wives' jewelry from us. For selection, quality, service, warranties, and guarantees, Genesis leads. Others follow. So for diamonds, engagement rings, exclusive designer jewelry for any occasion, don't compromise. Come to the jeweler that sets the industry standards year after year. Genesis Diamonds and pre-owned Rolexes. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Wednesday night.
Hello and welcome to Penalty Box Radio here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
It's the end of an era as Penalty Box Radio signs off.
Folks, thanks so much for tuning in.
And all the shenanigans that we have gotten into.
Join Justin Bradford and Glenn Blackwell, plus special guests, as they look back on 10 years of hockey and fun. Coverage begins at 7
on ESPN
1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt football head coach Clark Lee. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
I think it's hard to think that they can recreate, with a trainer, how we do things. And we see that with guys that have come back and started with our off-season program and guys that have joined a few weeks in. It's just different. And I know that they're working and they think that they are trying to get in shape, but that's just not the case. And so that's something that we have to focus on and try to make sure that we're getting some work in. But with all of them, trying to be as smart as we possibly can, Jim.
There you go. That was Vrabel when asked about Traylon Burks, and we thought that comment was about Traylon Burks, right?
Well, Traylon Burks and also the rest of the rookie class and also kind of the rest of the team as well.
Maybe. What if it had nothing to do with Traylon Burks? What if that was the one opportunity for Vrabel to get on his soapbox because he's mad at the guys who think they can go work out on their own and, do the things and then show up when it's time to get on the field, and he wants them here with Frank, the strength coach, working out, which leads me to my accusation that is rooted in zero evidence. In fact,
this is responsible, isn't it?
The lack of evidence is a red flag to me. Derrick Henry hasn't been posting a lot of workout videos this summer. Last spring, it was, here's Derrick Henry with an F-150 tied around his neck, and here he goes running it up a hill. And everybody's like, oh, my God, I can't believe it. Derrick Henry's neck must be so strong that he can carry an entire F-150 up an entire mountain. And those videos were out every day. It was like, here's Derrick Henry bench pressing a telephone pole. Like, wow. And we don't see any of that. And I went back. I looked at Melvin Sanders, who's his trainer. I follow him on Instagram, Sanders Fit. And I was looking at his, out in Dallas, I was looking at his Instagram. Because he's always posting things of like, here's Derrick Henry atop the highest building in all of Dallas doing pull-ups. And I didn't see anything. In fact, I clicked it, and there was another guy that posted something inside the gym, and I looked at the video, like the Zapruder tape, to see, like, is Derrick Henry in that gym in Dallas?
Doing some FBI kind of work.
And you hear Vrabel talk about entitlement. So I think it's one of two things. Either one, I think it's Derrick Henry. Because Derrick, the last 3 years, has trained the Derrick way, right? Mm-hmm. Because 2020, you weren't allowed to go to the facility. 2021, they canceled all the voluntary stuff because COVID was still kind of a thing. And this year, it's back to normal. And in the past, Derrick has gone to Alabama, and he was taking classes, but I'm sure he was working out at Alabama with the strength coaches, and Mike Mularkey wasn't very happy about that. And so then you have 2020, 2021. Derrick, it wouldn't surprise me if he was like, hey, I know how to take care of me. And I could see Derrick's logic behind that, right?
I don't know. I mean, I could see his logic behind that, but I think you're a little off base.
Well, last time Derrick didn't show up for the entire offseason program because it didn't exist in 2020, he ran for 2,000 yards. And last year, Derrick was on pace for 2,000 yards, and then he got hurt. So I could see Derrick thinking, now Derrick might be there right now, I have no idea, but I could see Derrick thinking to himself, why would I change what I've been doing that's so good? And I can see Vrabel looking at it of like, Derrick Henry's not here, and I need Derrick Henry because he's the biggest leader of this team. He's the most popular player on the team, and he's not here. The other alternative is there's a handful of guys that aren't there that have done it the 2020 way and the 2021 way and are like, yeah, we don't need to be there. When we get on the football field for practice next week, when we start actual practice, we'll be there. And that could be like Henry, Lawan, Landry, all the guys that we haven't already seen. So we know that Christian Fulton's not a part of that. We know that Ben Jones isn't a part of that. We know Austin Hooper's not a part of that. We know Nick Westbrook-Akina is not a part of that. Has he talked? Yeah. Vrabel said he was there. Yeah. Tannehill now is not a part of that. So take all those guys out, and it could be like a whole group of them. That like Nate Davis and those guys are like, yeah, no, we're good. We'll show up when it's time to play. We'll train with our own trainers, and then we'll show up when it's time for practice. It may be the whole group. It may be Derrick.
With Derrick, though, I mean...
Can't have special rules for Derrick Henry.
No, I'm not saying you should have special rules for Derrick Henry, but you're saying he hasn't posted on Instagram. He hasn't posted workout videos. What did we just get on to A.J. Brown for? Being all in around social media.
Different kind of social
Different
media.
kind of social media. Yes, that's true.
That's AJ responding to trolls. It's Derek posting Superman workouts.
It's
totally
AJ
different.
being immature and sending out very, cryptic messages on Twitter versus Derrick Henry lifting up a tractor. I understand that those two things are different. But just because Derrick Henry, one, isn't posting on social media doesn't mean that he isn't working out. And two, Derrick Henry doesn't seem like the kind of player or person to me that just wouldn't show up, that would say, I don't want to be there, so I'm not going to be there. I don't look at him as the kind of player that's so hard-headed that would push it to that limit with Mike Vrabel, that he would be so vehement about training with his trainers that he wouldn't show up to team practice or team training.
Okay, so I have a couple thoughts on that.
Okay.
First off, Derek's already done that before. Like, Derek didn't show up to go finish up his classes at Alabama. The bad guy, because
But that's not Derrick Henry just going out of his way to be kind of a butt about it.
No, it was just kind of a mistake.
It was a mistake. He went to go finish his degree.
I think there's a difference between, and this is just me, there's a difference between, like, I'm not showing up because I'm mad about my contract, and I'm not showing up right now because we're not doing full practices. Plus, you don't even let me practice anyway. As soon as I get out there to practice, you send me over to the sand pit, and I'm working with my trainer that I've spent the last 2 years with, and since I've spent the last 2 or 3 years with him, I've won 2 rushing titles and was on pace to win a third. Derek's formula, whatever Derek did in 2020, wouldn't you want Derek to do that again?
Yeah, probably so.
And so couldn't you see Derek saying, like, hey, I know how to prepare me? Brady's that way. Now, Brady did just show up or whatever, but Brady's like, I know how to prepare me.
But don't you think Vrabel would want that as well? Don't you think Vrabel would want Derrick Henry to recreate what he did in 2020? So why would he publicly be getting on him about not being there?
Well, he's not publicly getting on him because he can't, because it's voluntary.
Publicly showing his frustration?
I think because Vrabel looks at it like, if Derek does it, then the other guys will think that they can do it too. You can tell somebody, and again, this may very well be the second one, that there's a handful of dudes that aren't there.
I think it's more so a group rather than an individual.
But you can tell somebody on the team, a young player on the team, you can say, hey, don't worry about Taylor. Don't do what Taylor does. Taylor Lawance, he's kind of you can't say that about Derrick Henry. I mean, with Derrick Henry, it's like, Derrick Henry is the most respected member of the Tennessee Titans, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean that with all due respect to everybody else. But if you ask anybody, in Poughkeepsie about the Tennessee Titans, they will tell you Derrick Henry. And so, I mean, I think Vrabel knows that too. Like, all the young players probably look up to Derrick. Not just the young running backs look up to Derrick, but in the same vein of how we went off about the quarterback, I do wonder if Derrick's there. And I haven't seen, this is the thing that gets me, is I haven't seen any social media posts from Derrick. And I'm used to social media posts from Derrick. So
I don't need social media posts from Derrick.
I don't need them, but if I'm used to them, I'm getting them all the time, and then I don't get them anymore, then doesn't that lead you to wonder why you're not getting them?
Yeah, you can wonder why.
So let me state for the record once again that I have absolutely zero evidence to suggest that Derrick Henry is not there right now, other than the evidence that I don't have that would say that he is there.
The lack of evidence is the evidence.
But the thing is Vrabel is clearly mad at somebody. And you're right. It probably is if I had to bet, I would bet on it's a group of veteran players that aren't there, and the 6 guys that aren't there that Derrick may be a part of angers Vrabel. Or it could be Derrick.
Derrick did get a haircut yesterday.
Did he? Did he get it in Nashville?
Let's see. I will check. Dallas.
Because according to the Sirius XM radio interview Vrabel did today,
his trainers
Malik
in Dallas.
Willis and Ryan Tannehill were on the field together yesterday. So when Malik Willis and Ryan Tannehill were on the field yesterday and Vrabel saw it and talked about it and said, I saw the 3 quarterbacks on the field, Derrick was getting a haircut in Dallas. Are we sure that was yesterday?
It was posted 21 hours ago.
According to what source?
Hairline Matters, which is his barber, who is based out of Dallas, Texas.
Okay. I'm going to need to, because this could be like the Tannehill fishing post where it's like, well, that was actually taken months ago. Does it look like it was like taken months ago, or does it look like Derek just got a cut yesterday?
I don't really know how to tell the difference of if it was yesterday. I mean, it looks sunny outside, so I
think that was yesterday. I think that was yesterday.
It was posted 21 hours ago.
How did you find that?
I went to his Instagram and I went to his tagged photos.
That's
where the heat is. That's where all the tea lies, is the tagged photos.
All right, so here's what we know. Here's what this Detective Stillman and Fenton know. One, we know Vrabel's either mad at a group of people or he's mad at somebody in particular about not being there. Vrabel's clearly not happy about it. And this isn't even like what he said about Tannehill when he was like, I'm comfortable with where Ryan is, but, we'll work with the guys who are here. I mean, this is like 6 different ways that Vrabel has talked about people who aren't here or has highlighted the people who are here. So we know Vrabel's not happy. We also know that it would be somebody who would be entitled to something. Like if it's A.J. Moore, I mean, what the hell's he entitled to? Nothing, right? Like Jeff Swaim is not entitled to anything. So it has to be like a true entrenched starter.
Core veteran on this team.
Nate Davis, Taylor Lewan, Amani Hooker, who plays linebacker for this team, Bud Dupree,
David Long Jr.
Those guys, and he's there. Long Jr. is. So it's clearly something. It may be a group. It may be Derek, who according to Instagram was getting a haircut yesterday in Dallas. What do we think? 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones next. 615-737-1025. This is a rockin' and rollin' program. Nashville's best deal of the week is Bavarian Beer House at Opry Mills. Bavarian Beer House, Nashville's only authentic German beer hall, is a place full of fun, food, music, and most importantly, beer. Head to theGameNashville.com/deals now to get a $50 gift card for only $25 to Bavarian Beer House while supplies last.
Hey, this is Andrew Allegretta, voice of the Vandy Boys. Listen to the Commodore Hour every Monday at 6 p.m. during the baseball season. Kevin Ingram and I talk with Coach Corbin and special guests on ESPN 94.9 and streaming on the VU Commodores mobile app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Great looking afternoon with sunny skies, high temperature of 86 and low humidity. Tomorrow, storms creep back into the forecast and 90s return the rest of the week.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Gary Ashton here. I love hearing people say, don't sell without the intel, because it means they're really embracing our message. Now's a great time to sell your home in Nashville, but you need the intel only the Gary Ashton team can provide. Intel that helps you sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel to win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Let everyone else get the same information and compete for the same properties, while you get the intel edge with the Gary Ashton team, the official real estate team for your Tennessee Titans. And if you're looking for a great career, join our team. We added 65 new agents last year, and we want you to join us this year. Remember, don't sell without the intel. And if you're looking for a great career, the Gary Ashton team wants you in 2022. Call 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com today.
Hey y'all, it's Caroline Fenton, and I want to tell you about my friends over at 312 Pizza Company. 312 Pizza is my favorite place in town. It's family owned and operated, bringing you a slice of Chicago to Nashville. 312 Pizza Company specializes in deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, and all things Chicago style, always made from scratch using secret family recipes passed down generation to generation. 312 Pizza is open every day except for Tuesday and is located in Germantown with dine-in, takeout, and curbside available. Call 615-730-7888 or head to 312pizzaco.com to order. 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
This is Stan Harrison, CEO of Apple Collision Centers. We understand that no one likes to deal with auto body repair and the inconvenience it becomes in your day-to-day life. I want to personally invite you to stop by and let our experienced staff see how we can help you make your vehicle look good as new. Apple Collision Center has 3 convenient locations, Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin, ready to serve you. Come by and see us or visit us online at applecollisioncenters.com.
Parman Energy is your one-stop petroleum solution across all of Tennessee, offering turnkey petroleum solutions for professionals in major industries, serving trucking fleets, construction companies, industrial plants, and more. Whether a large corporation or owner-operator, Parman Energy has your diesel fuel, lubricant, DEF, and equipment needs. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman. Visit ParmanEnergy.com for more info. Your Tennessee petroleum solution providing totally outrageous customer service.
Darren McFarland.
That should get you in the mood for a game tonight.
Willie Donick.
I think between 5.5 and 6 is probably in the ballpark.
Chase McCabe.
Typically, I like to take the most difficult task and do it first.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is on. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
This is a testament to how players are willing to be coached. You can still coach them hard when they know that you care about them and you want the best for them. I think Mike Vrabel, Tennessee Titans, are an example of that.
And the best part is he can kick the crap out of most of them still.
You got to know that too, right?
Oh, I'm telling you what, he's a tough guy now. I mean, yeah, he's a tough guy, and he's, you don't realize, how stout he is, but he's at least 250, maybe more than that. But I remember when he was a player, he was a tough guy. He played for us for a bunch of years. He was one of our best players the whole time he was there. He was definitely one of the brightest defensive players. He was one of the two. There were two antagonists every day in practice with Tommy Brady. Two every day. Okay, that would talk trash with Brady every day. Mike Vrabel and Rodney Harrison. I mean, every day. I mean, and it would be trash talking. But, I mean, Vrabel, although he was playing an outside linebacker, which is not the ideal place to help get everyone in the right spot, but he would know before everyone else knew what was going to happen on a play.
There you go. That was Charlie Weiss this morning after Vrabel on their show. When he was talking about how Vrabel can still knock out the players, I know one player Vrabel can't knock out. Derrick Henry. And again, Vrabel has gone out of his way multiple times this week. If you go all the way back to Friday, he has gone out of his way multiple times this week to talk about the voluntary workout programs and guys working out. Friday, it was the working out with the trainer line about how guys think they can work out with their trainer. This morning, it was the no entitlement. And then on SiriusXM, and then what was my favorite thing is to coach the guys who want to be here and want to get better. So Vrabel's clearly upset with people who aren't there. We wonder if it's Derrick. We did the little work. Derrick was supposedly in Dallas yesterday. He was in Jacksonville over the weekend, apparently.
He was in Jacksonville celebrating his daughter's birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to Valentina.
Is that her name?
That is.
Happy birthday to Valentina Henry. So there is that. But again, I think it's Derrick. Let's go to your phones as promised. 615-737-1025 live at First Horizon Park. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Adam in Portland, go ahead.
Hey, so as good as you were last week, I complimented you. This show's terrible. This is bad today.
Why?
It's so boring, man. You're saying you can't get a haircut? Like, this is a guy who was RoboCop for us since he's been here, and then he gets hurt, comes back in a valiant effort. He does not need this off-season program. We all know that.
Here's my thing, Adam. Here's my theory, though. Like, if you're Vrabel, put yourself in Vrabel's shoes. I agree with you. I don't think Derrick Henry needs to be here until they're actually on the field going over plays. And even then, I'm not necessarily sure that Derrick Henry needs to be here. He doesn't really run routes in the pass pattern. He doesn't really pass protect on third down. I mean, in all seriousness, how much of it is Derrick run left, Derrick run right? But I do think that Vrabel looks at it as the most respected player on the team is doing his own thing, which then makes the other players think that they can do the own thing.
Yeah, but Derrick has to wonder if he should go get a haircut or not because it's going to be scrutinized. That's just stupid. Like, that's a toxic work environment. He should sue him for it. Like, that's awful.
Well, he didn't say, and that's why he didn't say anything about Derrick Henry, and I do appreciate your call, Adam. That's why Vrabel's not coming out and saying, and let's just say it is Derek that he's mad at. Or let's say there's 5 guys he's mad at. He's not getting – if he could – like, if it was allowed by the collective bargaining agreement, Vrabel would go to the podium and be like, Henry, Jackson, Smith, Hooker, Davis, Lewan are all not here, and they're not getting better, and we want them to get better, and they don't want to be here. Vrabel would definitely do that. I mean, he's already kind of shaming these guys without naming them because he can't name them. And so, to the point about Derrick Henry can't get a haircut, like that's a really easy way to simplify it. What it is Vrabel wants everybody here. He wants everybody working out with his strength coach. He wants everybody in his locker room. He wants everybody together. And I understand why he wants that. And this goes back to that Tom Brady documentary that we were talking about. I was actually talking to Joe and Robbie about last night at the golf tournament dinner, which was the one that Vrabel's in, where it's him, Brewski, and Brady, and they're talking about how the Patriots worked harder than everybody else, and that it wasn't the fans that were holding people accountable, it wasn't the coaches that were holding people accountable, it was the team that was holding people accountable. Everybody not there if you're Derrick Henry. And then how do you hold the other guys accountable if it's like, well, Derrick is doing that, so why can't I do that? And I think that's the point. That's what Vrabel doesn't like if it is in fact Derrick. It has nothing to do with the haircut. What do you have in the text line?
Andrew texts in and says, in my opinion, last month when you were crying about Tannehill, Derrick and every other veteran should have been there as well.
I agree, but they're not the quarterback. And they didn't ruin the Cincinnati game. So Tannehill got highlighted. In fact, I think I said this when we talked about it, but it was so not important to me because the quarterback was so much more important, especially the quarterback who half the town wants to run out anyways, was so much more important to me. I think I said, I want all those other guys there too. Because, Jeffrey Simmons was at the Preds game on the Jumbotron. It was like, please welcome Jeffrey Simmons. And, Simmons gets a wave in the air. And I'm like, and I'm sitting there at the game, and I'm like, so he can't go to voluntary work after he can go to the Preds game.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing?
Preds games are fun.
What are we doing? Hey, what yesterday, and this is where this all comes back on Vrabel, even though it's not, Vrabel's thing, is what I say yesterday on the show. What's the expectation for the Titans? To compete for the Super Bowl. So it's not like we have low expectations this season. I mean, we got high expectations right now. We got high expectations for the Titans. And that's why I want Derrick Henry there. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We got some Preds news. John Hines and David Poyle are coming back. The Predators have announced that they will have a press conference. John Hines and David Poyle will have a press conference Thursday at 11 a.m., which means that John Hines will be the coach next year. David Poyle will be the general manager next year. That is not surprising. I will say this, though. The way that we feel and the way that apparently everybody else thinks we should feel are totally different. I'll explain that coming up right here on Stillman & Company. FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. Go yard all May long with $5 Dinger Tuesdays on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. This season, all customers will get $5 for every home run hit by both teams when you place a $25 to hit a home run wager on a Tuesday MLB game. And the best part about Dinger Tuesdays is even if your bet loses, FanDuel will pay you $5 for every home run. I'm going to go with Matt Olson, former Nashville Sound. We're at the Sounds today. I'm going to go with Matt Olson because yesterday I watched the Braves play the Brewers, and the Braves didn't score any runs, and that always follows like an 8-run output, so I think that Matt Olson's going to go yard today. So go ahead and put Matt Olson down. So what are you waiting for? Pick your home run hitter and turn big swings into big wins. There's no better place to bet America's pastime than on America's #1 sportsbook. Head over to FanDuel or download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up using the promo code JGM. That's promo code JGM. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. Bonus issues, non-withdrawable site credit expires in 7 days. Max bonus $25. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
The voice of reason.
Now you may say, well, a quarterback is more important than a running back. That's fine. You can say whatever you want.
The voice of the fan.
Even if we have to develop him while he's playing, I just want a boring first-round pick.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Harness LLC needs 5 foremen to join our team. Go to selectharness.com now if you're a foreman with 3 years experience in excavation. Invest in a company who's going to invest in you. Selectharness.com. Harness LLC. Build people, move dirt.
You love Days Delta 8 products. Now follow them on Instagram for special promotions, giveaways, contests for cash prizes, and cannabis education. Make your next Dazed purchase at any of the 3,500 nationwide stores that hold their products in Informed One. Follow Days.D8Official. That's Days.D8Official on Instagram to see this truly single-source Delta 8 brand behind the scenes. Dazed 8, the highest quality standard of Delta 8.
This is Chef John from Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville. Inviting you to come join us for breakfast and lunch. We are offering some exciting new menu items. For breakfast, we have a smoked prime rib hash. Comes with a sunny side up egg, hominy, caramelized onions. It's a great start to your day. We are featuring a sourdough pancake made with a sourdough bread starter. It's a fun spin on the classic buttermilk pancake. As always, Kitchen Notes is serving biscuits all day. Come join us and create a memorable experience here at the Omni Hotel. Food is all about memories for us. We'd like you to start a new memory here at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Hotel.
Breakfast at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Nashville's own Big Machine Distillery welcomes you to the inaugural Tennessee Whiskey Trail Experience to celebrate International Tennessee Whiskey Day on May 21st. Tickets are limited, so get them now at tnwhiskeytrailexperience.com. Tickets include tastings from 30 Tennessee Whiskey Trail distilleries, a Glencairn glass, food pairings, live music, cigar lounge, and you can buy bottles to go. Educational and mixology classes earlier too. May 21st, tnwhiskeytrailexperience.com.
Nashville's best deal of the week is Bavarian Beer House at Opry Mills. Bavarian Beer House, Nashville's only authentic German beer hall, is full of fun, food, music, and most importantly, beer. Enjoy traditional German bratwurst, schnitzel, giant pretzels, and more in an Oktoberfest-inspired space. Visit BeerHouseNashville.com for their live music schedule. Get a $50 gift card for half off right now at thegamenashville.com/deals while supplies last.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN
102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game. And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 102.5. The Game streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. First Horizon Park. The Sounds first pitch tonight against the Louisville Bats, 6:35. So the Predators have sent out an email to everybody who's on their email media list saying that they will have their end of the season media availability with the President of Hockey Operations / General Manager David Poyle and Head Coach John Hines, Thursday, May 11th at 11 a.m. Central Time. I guess I know what I'm doing at 11 a.m. Central Time. Now, I am wearing my Brent Peterson shirt today, my Peterson Foundation for Parkinson's shirt.
It's a nice shirt.
And Coach Pete said to me that I have to be positive. So I'm going to try, guys like Coach Pete and Crispy and Dave McGinnis and, like the old school coaches, like, man, when those guys talk, I got to listen now. So I'm going to try. But it does essentially confirm what we kind of already knew, which is that Hines and Poyle are coming back. Doesn't mean I like it. As you all know, I'm against it. I think there should be changes at the top. I think you guys have spoken, whether it's calling into the show, texting into the show, whether it was kind of the atmosphere at Bridgestone Arena on Monday night of Game 4. I think you guys have spoken that it's not good enough. It will be interesting for me to see what their tenor is tomorrow. I do think the Predators, if they thought the whole time they were going to bring Hines and Poyle back, which, full disclosure, we had kind of heard from behind the scenes that they were probably coming back. We didn't hear anything that we could say, like, report that they were coming back or share with you guys, but we kind of knew as of that Monday of Game 4, we kind of knew that they were coming back. But I say all this because I know what the party lines are right now. Like, I know what Chris Mason said on the show Friday. And I think a lot of people over there believe that. Like, I think that those people believe John Hines is a good coach. I do not believe that. But I think they do truly believe that they have a good coach and that situations and poor decisions in the past and things that they didn't expect to happen have happened. And so they are now dealing with it. And they think that David Poyle, got you to the Cup final the first time, and he can take it down and bring it back. And again, I don't totally believe that, but I think they believe that. The question is, tomorrow, what is it that they are going to present to us that feel like answers? Like legitimate answers. Last year it was competitive rebuild. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that we can walk out of this press conference tomorrow. I said this on the day of Game 4. That is, I think Hines and Poyle owe you the truth. I don't think they owe you like a long-winded explanation that doesn't make sense and it ends up being, some buzz phrase like competitive rebuild. I think they owe you the truth. If they don't think that this hockey club can compete for the Cup next year, I think they owe it to tell you that. And if they think that, hey, things were going good and Saros got hurt and, we thought we were a couple of switches away or a couple of players away that we can get with all of our cap space, I believe that they owe it to you. This is Thursday, not tomorrow that they're doing this. But I believe that they owe it to you to tell you the truth. And I gotta hope, and I haven't made a bet with anybody on this, but I have told people that I hypothesize this. I don't think you'll hear anything about preseason expectations. I don't think they're going to go there. Because I can't believe the reaction that I feel like they've gotten from the whole, like, hey, nobody picked us to finish where we finished. Like, dude, you finished 16th. Like, congratulations, nobody picked you to finish 16th. Here, hey, go to the trophy shop and get me a 16th place trophy. You know what I mean?
Well, why would they not bring it up?
Because I think they've gotten so crushed for it.
I don't think they have.
Oh, I think they have.
I don't think so.
Oh, I mean, the morning shows killed them. We've killed them. I think Vingen's probably killed them. I mean, Vingen called Poyle an unreliable narrator. Like, for him to say, like, that's a pretty strongly worded statement. I mean, basically, that's Vingen saying that the guy didn't tell the truth. Right?
What are they going to say?
I don't know.
Because that's been what their go-to.
That's probably why it's a week and a half after the playoff loss until they start talking, is because they've been thinking about what they're going to say to this fan base right now that I think, if you're being fair, and that's all I strive to be, I think it's a fan base that right now does not completely trust where the team is headed. I don't think that's a stretch, right?
No, I don't think that's a stretch whatsoever. Just based off of what I've seen in the text line and conversations on Twitter and just in the fan base in general, I don't think, at least me and I think a lot of Predators fans as well, you don't see a clear path to the future. Because if the Predators truly did want to rebuild and they were just god-awful this year, but you knew what they were doing, they were getting younger, they were finding younger players, they were doing whatever they needed to do in order to take 3 steps forward, they were going to have to take 2 steps back. I would be fine with that. I think that everyone is just confused about the plan. Okay, so you're going to get younger, but you're going to keep an older core, but you barely squeaked your way into the playoffs and got embarrassed in the first round of the playoffs. So what's your new plan? Are you going to continue with what you did last year and hope for different results? I think everyone just wants a clear path to what this team is going to do next year and why they're doing that to be better.
And I am with you with this caveat. What they're probably going to say, if they tell us the truth, I'm probably going to disagree with. But that's okay.
But don't go into it thinking that.
Well, I mean,
I don't think it's fair to go into it thinking that.
The way that they've got to get out of this, this is me. The way they've got to get out of this is the way that a 72-year-old general manager who's on the hot seat and a head coach who's probably coaching for his career would not want to go down. There's no quick fix in the way that I think that this is the way I look at it. I look at it as Pekka Rinne elevated the entire franchise for a playoff series and the following year. I thought the Predators were a solid team, like a solid, good team. Like the 2016 team was a solidly good team that if things had broken their way, they could have ended up in the Cup final. The 17 team was a better team than the 16 team at the end of the year because they had PK Subban instead of Shea Weber and whatever, but Pekka carried that team up to the mountaintop. Then Pekka was phenomenal the next year, and those guys played harder than their opponents every single night because they were convinced the reason they lost to the Penguins was because they didn't have home ice. So they wanted to get home ice. So they took every game seriously, kind of like Arvidsson, where Arvidsson plays so hard every game, but then he gets in the playoffs and he doesn't score goals because, the other guys are playing hard too. They lost a tough series with Winnipeg. But after that, all these guys that we were giving credit to started to sign these contracts, and they started to get a little lazy. And Pekka started to get a little bit older, and because Pekka was the thing that was holding it all up, that started to take its toll on the team. They started losing, and everybody didn't know why. And people that signed 8-year contracts weren't willing to sit there and say that, actually, I'm not really the reason for the success, but that's partly it. I think the Predators have, in their history, shown that they are quick to move off somebody a year too late as opposed to moving off them a year too early, which is what I think they should do some of. They got forced into moving off of James Neal a year too early, but it's probably a good thing they did because James Neal signed a contract after his initial Predators contract ran out in Vegas, and James Neal was awful. So I think that, they lost some leadership in Mike Fisher. Guys got older, got more hurt, got worse. But I think the guys they invested in are guys that you shouldn't invest in. I mean, they invested in Johansson, and I don't think there was an article on Deadspin. I know Deadspin's losing their mind right now with all the crazy stuff that comes out. But there was an article on Deadspin last week, and the headline was like, let's applaud the thievery of Ryan Johansson. It was bad. And it basically went over the fact that Johansson has just been taking money, and not producing. And this past year, I'll give Johansson credit because he had nobody on his line. And so I can't totally hold that against him. But I guess the point I'm making is Pekka carried everybody to the mountaintop. And when it came down, all these guys that we all gave a lot of credit to for why they got there really weren't as important as we thought they were. But then they signed all these guys to long-term extensions. So then in order to get out of them and not retain salary, which the Predators never do, they had to get nothing in return. And so you traded something that was injured and old and would tie you down, but you traded that for nothing. So then you just have nothing. And, I mean, the window's shut. And they went for it during the window. And the moves that they used to go for it weren't good enough, so they didn't win a cup, and now the window's shut. And so the way to get out of it is to really enter a true rebuild. And I don't think they're willing to do that because if they do that, Poile, I don't know if he'll ever get fired. Hines is going to get fired if they enter a rebuild. If you enter a full-on rebuild and you go into year 4 and you haven't won anything, you haven't won anything big, and then your team stinks, even if it's not your fault in this league, you're out. In any league, you're out. We talk about Arthur Smith getting fired all the time. We love Arthur.
But especially in the NHL.
In the NHL, it's a fire the coach sport. And so that's why I think I'm going to disagree with whatever their message is if they actually tell us what their plans for the team are. And that's the only thing I'm asking for out of this media session with Hines and Poile is all I'm asking is that they tell us, but more importantly, by extension, you, that they tell you guys the truth. That's all I'm asking for. 615-737-1025. Let's get your thoughts on it. Hines and Poile are for sure coming back. 615-737-1025. They will meet with the media on Thursday. How important is what they say on Thursday? We'll get to that next. Plus, the difference between what I think we feel, including you, the fans, and what I think everybody else is telling us to feel. We'll get to that coming up next. 615-737-1025 is the phone number here on the program. To tune in for Sounds Baseball, where we are tonight here at First Horizon Park at 6:35 on ESPN 94.9 as the Sounds begin a 6-game homestand taking on the Louisville Bats, the AAA affiliate of the Cincinnati Reds. Sounds Baseball on ESPN 94.9 is presented by 312 Pizza, Farm Bureau Health Plans, and Spirited Hive.
Robbie and Rex Road here on ESPN.
Welcome into the DDC.
Stone Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have 2 choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators. He scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
The Hot Rod Power Tour, presented by eBay Motors and driven by Continental Tire, is back in Nashville, June 14th. Register now at hotrodpowertour.us.
Empire Auto Parts has opened a brand new location in Nashville, Tennessee. They're hosting a hiring event with giveaways, sign-on bonuses, and more, happening at Holiday Inn Express at the Crossings, 201 Crossings Place, May 16th through 20th, from 9 a.m. to noon or 2 to 5. Empire Auto Parts offers hourly pay, full benefits, 401k matching, and more. Current job openings for warehouse associate, delivery drivers, customer service agents, account managers, and dispatchers. Apply now on Indeed at Empire Auto Parts Inc. Jobs or visit their website at EmpireAutoParts.com.
The deals at Electronic Express are heating up. Prepare for Memorial Day with brands like Charbroil, Yeti, Samsung, LG, Vornado, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. Outdoor living, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home furniture, and more. Plus, save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com with free express delivery. Summer savings at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
What if you could be debt-free in 3 weeks? Hey, Willie Donick here. My friends at Loan Pronto are helping people do it every day. It's Loan Pronto's debt consolidation home refi, wiping out tens of thousands in credit card debt. Listen, your home's value is way up. You can refinance now, take money out to pay off all your credit cards, eliminate PMI charges, pay off personal loans, or other high-interest debt. One local couple had over $50,000 in credit card debt. Loan Pronto did a debt consolidation refi. And even though their mortgage rate went up a tad, they cut their monthly payments by $900. Why pay 20% interest when you can consolidate it to one low payment with a mortgage APR in the 3s? Homeowners who do it save an average of $800 a month. Do it now and even skip your next house payment altogether. That's what I call financial freedom. Call Loan Pronto now. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
The Gallatin Hotel is a vibrant and charming boutique hotel tucked into East Nashville and was voted the #1 boutique hotel in East Nashville by TripAdvisor. Not only is the Gallatin unique by design, but they also give away the majority of their profits to those who need it most and provides beds, food, and supplies to Nashville's underserved communities and those experiencing homelessness. Just one more reason to love your stay at the Gallatin. Visit thegallatinhotel.com to book your stay now. The Gallatin Hotel. It's good vibes only.
When flying insects show up in your home, how do you get rid of them? Hopelessly clapping every single one? Aimlessly swatting back and forth? Hanging fly strips in your living room? Ew, ew, ew. Instead, try Zevo Traps. Zevo uses light, not odor or chemical insecticides, to attract and trap bugs, working continuously so you don't have to. Zevo, people friendly, bug deadly. Now at a store near you.
Interact with Stillman & Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
It's disappointing right now, but when you look at this season, what do you take away from it, knowing kind of exactly where you guys were picked in the preseason, and then you played in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get a lot of credit, obviously, from the outside, and I think the one thing I'm proud of this team. I mean, we worked hard all year. We just put our heads down and worked, and I think that's the one thing we can be proud of. The work ethic was always there, and right now it's disappointing, obviously, going out 4-0.
There you go. That was Roman Yossi after the season was over. And the whole we didn't get enough credit for finishing 16th, I don't think it's going to fly Thursday with Hines and Poyle talking.
How much credit do they want for finishing 16th?
We'll have to ask them on Thursday.
We can do just that.
But I will say this. Like, I was reading The Athletic. They have their power rankings, and, of course, the Predators in the Athletics power rankings finished 16th. And they got these two guys, Sean Gintel and Dom. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's last name. But this goes back to what everybody is telling us that we should feel about the Predators. Like Elliot Friedman was doing this last week, and The Athletic, they do it, which is, of course it was always going to be an uphill battle against arguably the most talented team in the league. I mean, this is exactly what everyone expected would happen, right? ? And I think that's how everybody feels. That's what Chris Mason was saying on the show Friday. Like, I mean, what did you expect him to do against the Colorado Avalanche? And I'm just here to tell you, this may not be fair. I mean, I expected them to lose in 4. I picked them in 4. Everybody, the trendy when it's a mismatch in a hockey series, everybody always picks it in 5. And I'm like, no, it's not going 5. And I didn't expect them to do any better than they did. But that doesn't mean that I accept what they did. And so as much as these national guys can say, like, this is what everybody expected, right? Or that to keep Philip Forsberg at the deadline was a good move, which is what the other guy says. Quote, I don't have any issue with what David Poyle did at the deadline, for the record. If he thought or thinks that a Forsberg return is on the table, it made sense to roll the dice. Maybe, but it's not. These fans, the way that these fans are going to feel if Philip Forsberg bounces for nothing, these people in Canada or wherever they are, they're going to see Philip Forsberg signs with Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't know, whatever. And they're going to say, oh, okay, that'll be good for them. But they don't care about the Predators. And that's my whole point about this, is these people that are telling you that you shouldn't be mad that they lost to the Avalanche, they don't care that the Predators lost to the Avalanche. I care that the Predators got embarrassed in the NHL playoffs. Like, that wasn't what I signed up for. And so that, I think, is going to be my question, or not my question, but kind of my focus is, do Hines and Poyle realize how mad people are? Because if they don't realize how mad people are and they get up there and start talking about how, well, the preseason expectations weren't very good, I mean, I think that's going to make people more mad than I would assume they already are. I don't know how mad they are. You're a man in the text line. Let's go to your phones. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. What do the people think?
Craig checks in and says if they get up there tomorrow and start talking about preseason expectations and how they overachieved, that will just confirm to me that John Hines is okay with almost being good and that Poyle is over the hill.
Boy, I tell you, first of all, it's Thursday, not tomorrow, but I don't think these fans are going to take very well to that. And honestly, and I don't
really think fans should.
I promised Brent Peterson I was going to be positive. And that lasted an hour. But let me say this. I didn't really promise it. He demanded it, and I didn't say absolutely no way. But it lasted an hour. I will say this. I believe that what we're doing right now, like, that they've, I don't know if Poyle sits in his office, listens to the show, or if Hines, that they know, right? Like, they know the gist of what's being said.
Angry about how the season turned out?
Sure. And specifically what's come out of my mouth, because it's been probably the strongest, right?
Yes.
Like, Joe hasn't written an article that says, Poyle should be fired, Hines should be fired. Adam hasn't written, Adam's written that he wants to hear from ownership. But there's a difference between that and
They haven't written necessarily glowing recommendations of the leadership either.
No, and I'll tell you this. They all read what Adam wrote. Like, I already know this. This might be a good thing. Because if they're listening over there, they need to understand how these fans are not going to be okay. These fans, this is Nashville, Tennessee, okay? We're not Philadelphia where they boo Santa Claus. If you get up there and you just tell the fans the truth, and you just say, like, guys, we wanted to competitively rebuild. For us, that meant, staying competitive in the standings, having an interesting season, trying to see how far it could go. It fell apart from us. We just, we got to figure out what it is that we're missing, but we're
We're not
totally
satisfied.
We got totally embarrassed against Colorado. If they say that, the people here, I think, will take that better than, I mean, what did you guys expect us to do? We made the playoffs. Be happy. Because if that's what happens, like, I'm telling you, man, these fans are not going to want to hear that. If you tell them the truth of, like, we thought mid-season that we were competing with St. Louis and competing with Minnesota, and we thought that things maybe could break right for us in the playoffs, and obviously we fell apart down the stretch. If they just tell the truth, the fans may not like what they hear, but at least, again, this is Nashville. I think the fans will be okay with it if they don't feel like they're being sugarcoated. If you try to sugarcoat them, I think you're going to get some people that are really, really mad. Like, I think people, because there's a difference between like losing and addressing the losing, and then what I call loser talk, which is, you know, that if the goalie didn't get hurt, then everything would have been right. And the Titans pivoted off that real quickly on Tannehill once they realized everybody wasn't interested in hearing about how, you know, well, you know, Ryan had to tell you know, it's not his fault. Oh, no, we're not interested in that. And at the Combine, Vrabel was like, it's not accepted by us and it's not accepted by him, and we got to get better, and we got to, like, you heard a different tone. You had the general manager crying at the Combine. You know, that's what, in Nashville, that's how I feel like people take it.
At least I would appreciate a little bit of transparency and at least a little bit of optimism that there's going to be a change.
Just tell the truth.
There's no guarantee that that change is going to be a good change in the long run. There's no guarantee that the Predators are going to turn around and, you know, completely blow the league away next year. But at least a little bit of change, because what they're doing right now isn't working.
And just tell the truth.
Be transparent.
Just tell the truth. Just tell us what you think, where you're headed. And that's hard to do, because when you do that, you know, that will affect your leverage. You know, if everybody thinks you're trying to tear it down to rebuild and you call up trying to trade Matthias Ekholm, they know what you're trying to do. And so it won't kill your leverage, but it will affect it. And so that's a hard part. But I think you need to be honest with the fans, because the Predators have done a really good job of building a fan base that now cares about this. And so they want to be told the truth. Jerry is up next here on the program. Thank you for calling the show. Go ahead, Jerry.
Hello, Jerry and Caroline. The main problem with both Nashville teams, the Predators and the Titans, is they've expectations to be better, and they don't show that they have that drive to be better than average.
I mean, I disagree with you on both of that. I mean, what have the Titans and Predators done that make you think that they're okay with being average?
Well, one, they're dragging Tannehill along when he's shown that in the total part that he can't get it done or maintain what he started. And the Predators are the same way, because they're making excuses for reaching where they did and not having expectations above what everyone else was put in front of them.
Okay, so I want to analyze both of that. Thank you for your call, Jerry. I mean, the reason Tannehill's the starting quarterback of the Titans is because there isn't somebody else out there who's better for sure that wouldn't cost you way more than what they're actually worth. Like, I wouldn't pay what Denver paid for Russell Wilson. I mean, I might. I'd have to think about it, but I probably wouldn't pay that in order to upgrade from Tannehill to Wilson, even though I'd much rather have Wilson as my quarterback than rather have Tannehill. Let's say that Tampa Bay agreed to Tom Brady's request that he be released by the Buccaneers. Do you think the Titans, if they could trade Tannehill to Tampa Bay and then sign Tom Brady, do you think the Titans would have done that?
Absolutely they would.
Okay, so, I mean, I think it's different. As far as the Predators are concerned, I just think the window closed. And when the window closes, if you won't go out and say that it's closed, then you're telling people that it's still open, or you're trying to sell them this idea that it's open, and people don't want to hear that. And now you're using preseason expectations, which I didn't even think about or care about, or I don't ever remember talking about the preseason expectations of the national media on our show. And yet you're saying that is like was good. They know that wasn't good enough. They know. Like, I think in the back of his mind, John Hines knows that losing that Arizona game and not drawing Calgary was a legitimate fireable offense. That you get the wrong owner, the wrong general manager, the wrong guy trying to save his butt, that he could have been fired over losing that Arizona game and not drawing Calgary and instead getting Colorado. Like, I think he knows that he's lucky that he works for an organization that is as loyal as the Predators are, because there are other organizations that would have canned him for that. And, I mean, like, Bruce Cassidy might get fired in Boston. Barry Trotz just got fired. Like, what are we – I mean, come on now. So, I do – I don't think that they believe that about how that they took a step forward. I think they're just trying to sell that to all of you all so that you all don't turn off the TVs and get mad about the season. They're trying to make you feel better about the fact that they made the playoffs.
I don't think they want to be average.
No, they don't want to be average. None of these teams are trying to win.
Why would you want to be average?
These teams are trying to win. I mean, the Predators are trying to win. The Titans are trying to win. The Toronto Maple Leafs haven't won.
It's a business as well.
The Toronto Maple Leafs haven't won a playoff series since I was in the 8th grade, and they are trying their rear ends off to win. So I'm not saying the Predators aren't trying or that the Titans aren't trying. Now, the cap space stuff, that will get asked, and they've got it, so they're probably going to have to spend it. 615-737-1025. I've got a Preds hot take, and then we're back to your phones. But this hot take, I don't think should be controversial at all. And I know people are going to be upset about it. So we'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company right here live at First Horizon Park, where once again the Sounds are taking on the Louisville Bats. 615-737-1025. Caroline wants to tell you about our fine folks with the Caesars Sportsbook app.
All right, everyone, gather around because I've got a very important announcement for you about the Caesars Sportsbook app. So when you place your first bet with Caesars, it's risk-free, up to $1,100. So download the app and use the promo code RADIOCZR. One word, RADIOCZR, and then place your first bet. And if you win, then congratulations. You just made a little bit more money. But if not, then you'll get your wager back as a free bet. Now, if you need something to place that first bet on, look at the Celtics Heat game tonight, because the Celtics are coming in as underdogs, but I think they're going to be able to get it done tonight. So I'm going to take the Celtics on the money line plus 115 on the Caesars Sportsbook app. But hey, that's my take. Do it how you want to do it. Just do it with Caesars. Must be 21 and physically present in Tennessee. New users only, but amount of qualifying wager return only if wager settles a loss. Paid as a single bet credit. Must be used within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Caesars Sportsbook. Download it, people.
Hi, I'm Jussi Saros. And this is Smashville.
Now here's a try off to the side. What a stop made by Jussi Saros there.
Unreal. You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network. ESPN 1025, The Game.
Attention, buckaroos. It's time for the Franklin Rodeo, so saddle up and hold on to your lasso. It's 3 days of bull riding, calf roping, western wear, funny clowns, and some of the most talented horses you've ever seen. Join the Stampede this weekend. The Franklin Rodeo is held at the Williamson County Ag Expo Park and is brought to you by Franklin Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, Williamson Medical Center, Wesley Mortgage, and Event 1FX. Tickets on sale now at franklinrodeo.com. It's a buckin' good time.
With all the new people moving here recently, we thought it'd be a good idea to explain Genesis Diamonds. If you've lived here a while, you know all this, so bear with us. Genesis Diamonds is not an ordinary jewelry store. It was started decades ago by a major diamond wholesaler based in Tel Aviv. He was the diamond supplier for hundreds of upscale jewelry stores. Then he decided to start selling direct to the public at prices that undercut traditional jewelers in a big way. This no middleman approach caught on fast and disrupted the traditional jewelry business model forever. Today, Genesis Diamonds continues that extraordinary value promise. With the highest quality diamonds, the lowest prices, the strongest guarantees, exceptional service, and a mind-blowing selection of fine diamonds and exclusive designer jewelry. So if you've just moved here from New York or California or wherever, we invite you to discover the secret the locals are well aware of: Genesis Diamonds. Just another great reason you made the move to this extraordinary place we're proud to call home.
Don't miss Nashville SC versus CF Montreal on May 18th at 7:30 p.m. Come on into Geodis Park and get closer, bolder, and golder at Nashville SC's. Single match tickets are on sale now at nashvillesc.com/singletix.
As a parent, you know kids are amazing and expensive. But with Fabric, protecting your family with term life insurance is surprisingly affordable with a personalized policy for your family starting at less than $1 a day. It's quick, easy, all online, and you could be approved instantly. Plus, no risk, cancel anytime. Secure your family's financial future today at meetfabric.com/future. That's MEET fabric.com/future. Fabric Insurance Agency policies issued by Vantis Life, not available in New York and Montana. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions.
Robbie and Rex Road here on ESPN.
Welcome into the DDC.
Stomach Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators.
He scores!
Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey, this is Pekka Rinne. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Philip, as you consider your future, how much or how important is the direction of this team moving forward? I mean, how much are you taking that into consideration along with everything else?
Yeah, no, a lot. I mean, obviously, I've been fortunate enough to be on this team for a long time now and made the playoffs every year. But at the same time, every player plays to win the Stanley Cup, and so do I. That's my biggest goal, and I do believe that we have a team that can make that in the future. And like you said, I think that's the direction that a team has to be heading, and I think we are.
That was Philip Forsberg on Locker Cleanout Day. So Thursday, when John Hines and David Poyle meet with the media, they'll be asked about Philip Forsberg and what they're going to do. And their answer will be, we're going to try to sign Philip. We just haven't come to an agreement, but we look forward to talking to his agent. We look forward to Philip being a Nashville Predator for a long time. But they won't commit to signing Philip Forsberg because they can't. But here's my hot take, because I got a hot take I've been thinking about, I've been sitting on, and that Caroline does not know what this hot take is.
No, I don't. You went out of your way to not tell me.
I want you to hear this for the first time. The Predators are going to have to sign Philip Forsberg. Just given upon what they view themselves as, they're not going to undergo a full-blown rebuild, and I'm not even sure they really should. I think that they should look at building around Josi and Forsberg and Ekholm and Askarov and Tomasino and like Johansson kind of has to because no one will take him. So that group right there. I think they should sign Philip Forsberg. I think it'll probably cost them about $9 million. They won't want to pay it. He won't be worth it. He'll get a modified no movement clause probably. You may have to go to a full no movement clause. I don't like it, but Philip Forsberg lived up to his 6-year contract. He's a solid player. He's always going to give you his best effort. He's never going to be a distraction. You never have to worry about Philip Forsberg being a bad player or bad guy, even though he's streaky. So I would do that. And then I would turn around and trade Matt Duchene. So I am out of the Matt Duchene business. And I know he scored 40 goals this past year. And that's precisely why I would trade him now. Now, I talked to somebody who has been in the NHL for a long time. And I said, what do you think they could get for Matt Duchene? And the guy told me nothing. And I asked Adam Vingan today, I was like, do you think the Predators could get a first-round pick? Now, remember, Duchene went for 2 firsts, I believe, and a prospect when he got traded from Ottawa to Columbus a couple years ago. I go, what do you think the Predators will get a first-round pick for Matt Duchene? And he said no. So Duchene scored 40 goals this past year. And Adam Vingan and a guy I trust in the NHL are telling me, like, nobody wants Duchene. So maybe it doesn't make a whole bunch of sense, but I do believe that there's a desperate enough general manager out there who, with the cost certainty of a potential 40-goal scorer, that they will give you a first-round pick because they probably think that if I don't win, then I'm going to get fired and I won't even be able to use this first-round pick, that they'll give you a first-round pick in next year's draft in exchange for Matt Duchene. And so while you got nothing in return for Forsberg at the deadline because you didn't trade him, and you really can't get anything for Forsberg even if you trade his rights before the draft, you get something by signing Forsberg, and it's $1 million extra than what you're paying, what you get rid of in Duchene, and then you turn around and you move on from Matt Duchene and you get a first-round pick. It won't make you a better team next year, but I believe that it will make you a better team for the long haul because I do not believe that Matt Duchene's season was sustainable. I do not believe Matt Duchene will ever be this good ever again. And honestly, I just find Matt Duchene as a loser player. Like, he's the kind of guy that I don't want on my team. And the way he left Colorado bothered me. The fact that he's never been on a winning team other than that one time that they upset Tampa Bay and Columbus, and that was with the payday in front of him. The fact that he's never been on a winning team really bothers me. Like, Colorado was the bottom of the league, and he was their one star. And they traded him, and all of a sudden they turned it around like that. And that bothers me. His comments after the series about how, I look at us like that Colorado team. That bothered me a lot because it was so detached from reality. It's like, dude, the Colorado team got good when you left. And on top of it, this team is nothing like that Colorado team. That Colorado team had young players everywhere. And so I'm just not a huge, I just don't think you're going to get 40 goals out of Matt Duchene. I don't think that he plays this hard all the time. I think he had something to prove. And I think now's your chance to get out. Before the no movement clause kicks in, you still got a bunch of the years and the money. It's been somewhat underwhelming. I would sign Forsberg, and I'd turn around and trade Duchene. And that way you get something for Duchene instead of trying to rebuild. Here's my big fear. My big fear is exactly what happened that led to John Hines and Ray Shero getting fired in New Jersey is going to happen here, which is team got the playoffs. They got a monster season out of Taylor Hall. Then the next year they weren't that good, so they really wanted to ramp it up. We wanted to win. So they went out, they traded for PK Subban, who was no good when they got rid of him here, and Wayne Simmons, who was also no good when he was here. And they didn't win any games to start. They drafted Jack Hughes first overall, and they didn't win games, and they fired the coach. But the ownership put the pressure on management to go get players because, hey, now's our time. Let's go get players. There's obviously pressure on the general manager and the coach. And so with all this cap space that Willie talks about all the time, I could see the Predators saying, we got the cap space, let's go buy Nazem Kadri. But you're not a Nazem Kadri away from being a good team. So then what you're going to do is what do you always do when you go to free agency? You always overpay. And so you go overpay in free agency, and you overpay 2 free agents with your cap space, and you sign Forsberg, and now you're locked up in Johansson, and you're locked up in Duchene, and you're locked up in these guys that you overpaid for. And I just don't think you're a couple free agents away from competing with those Colorado teams. So I don't think they're going to do it, but that's what I think that they should do is I do think this is your chance. Sign Forsberg, commit to him, rebuild around him and Yossi and Tomasino and Ekholm, and maybe the goalie, though I'd probably trade the goalie, but then I would trade Matt Duchene. I'm out of the Matt Duchene business.
You're going to find someone to take that contract?
So
you're going to eat it.
You're going to have to probably retain some salary, which the Predators have never done. But I do not believe the Predators can do the things that they've never done in order to get themselves out of the situation they're in. I just don't think it's feasible. Like, I don't, the whole we don't give out no movement clauses. I don't think you can do that with Philip Forsberg. Because you've already traded Arvidsson and Ellis and Subban and Weber, and so you've already done that.
Well, with Forsberg at this point, you just have to bend the knee
to
whatever he wants.
I mean,
all of your leverage is gone on May 17th.
And like, if Forsberg doesn't return, then I think I think everybody but Yossi probably becomes what they
at that point. You're almost forced into a rebuild.
That's what all these national people that tell us how to feel, that's what they all say, is that if you don't bring back Forsberg, you're into a rebuild. So to me, you bring back Forsberg and you trade Duchene. I don't think his value will ever be higher, and I would trade him, and I would hope to get a first-round pick out of him. Boston did this when they decided they were done with Milan Lucic. They traded him to the LA Kings for a first-round pick, and I believe they traded Dougie Hamilton to Calgary for a first-round pick. So if you can figure out a way to get a couple of picks, and then maybe that helps you rebuild on the fly, because right now they need a draft defenseman. They need help at forward. I mean, they really need help everywhere except for goalie. And I feel like now is the only chance to get out from Matt Duchene, even if it means retaining a little bit of salary. I think this is the only way to get out from Matt Duchene. I don't think he's as good as he played this year, and I just don't love the player. Like, I just don't
love the age either.
I just don't think you win with guys like him. And I'm not saying he's a bad guy. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I just don't feel it.
I don't hate it.
I think you win with guys.
I don't hate it.
I think you win with guys like Yossi, and I think Forsberg has the winning attitude. I think Saros has a winning attitude. Even though Ekholm didn't play well this year, I think he's got a winning attitude. I think, did I say Pekka? Because Pekka had, the winning attitude. But I just don't think Duchesne, I don't think Duchesne and Johansson have the winning attitude. And so now that Duchesne has played to a point where you can get out from under it, that's what I would do. So that's my Preds hot take, is I would get rid of Matt Duchesne. What are your thoughts?
I don't hate it, because they always say, I said it with AJ, get out while you're ahead. You don't want to hold on too long to where you're forced to have to give them up and you get nothing in return. I'm with you that I don't predict that Matt Duchesne has another 40-goal season or gets even close to it. I think that his seat was incredibly hot because of the amount of money that he was making, the contract that he had, and the fact that he didn't have the production to match. So I don't think that this past year is the rule and not the exception. I think it's very much so the other way around. But I do think that it's a very uncomfortable move, because you look at this past season, and a lot of Predators fans might say, where would this team be without Matt Duchesne? And I agree. Without those 40 goals, where would you be? Probably not in the playoffs. I don't know.
Sure.
It's an uncomfortable move. It's not a move that makes you better right now, but it's a move that makes you better in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So if this team is going to talk about a rebuild, albeit competitive, if this team's going to talk about a rebuild, you have to make those uncomfortable moves. So I don't hate it.
Duchesne, this is what's happened for years, is that people are like, we need to trade. We need to trade Turris, and the guys that you don't want, nobody else wants either.
And also, let's go back to last year when I think we were all begging and praying, Seattle, please take Johansson or Duchesne.
Yeah.
Please take Johansson or Duchesne. And I know that a 40-goal season is what separates us from then and now, but how much do we really expect Duchesne to improve at, 30 years old? 31 years old?
Duchesne has given you the chance to get out. The 40 goals, I think there's going to be a team desperate enough, a general manager, a guy who loses in free agency that says, we're one player away, and I don't like trading a first for him, but it's $8 million and the market's going up, so let's just go ahead and do it. With that, to your phones. 615-737-1025. Your wonderful phones are next. Stillman and Company. Live from First Horizon Park. Sounds tonight against the Louisville Bats. First pitch, 6:35. Great seats available at ESPN 1025 The Game and 1063.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5"
on ESPN
1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Whatever you love listening to, you'll find it on Audible. Best-selling audiobooks, exclusive originals, podcasts, and more. Sign up and start free at audible.com.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Great looking afternoon with sunny skies, high temperature of 86 and low humidity. Tomorrow, storms creep back into the forecast and 90s return the rest of the week.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
From elegant to contemporary, Social Furniture has it all. And right now, get no interest financing on any purchase through Memorial Day. Save hundreds, even thousands on top brand name bedroom suites, living room and dining sets. Thousands of combinations in stock, ready for immediate delivery. All colors and styles are designer brand names, such as Woodhouse, Sealy, Serta, Kincaid, Bernhardt, Stearns & Foster, and Bassett. Shop local, shop social. Social Furniture opens 7 days a week on the west side on Charlotte Avenue in the Richland Creek Shopping Center.
Erectile dysfunction ruins sex, but it's more than that. It harms otherwise good relationships. It destroys marriages. It can cause depression and anxiety, and it can be extremely hard on a man's self-esteem. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if you're suffering with ED, if it's affecting you, I want you to know that if you're like most men, we can treat it and get you back to the man you used to be. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we're ED experts. Our protocols have success rates as high as 90%. We've successfully treated thousands of men in the Music City, and we have a variety of treatment options and treatment combinations that could have you performing like you haven't in years. You could even last up to an hour and experience great sex again that is satisfying for both you and your partner. In treating your health, expertise matters, so make an appointment today. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
Nashville is growing, and so are we. The Nashville Sheriff is hiring correctional officer trainees. Starting pay is $38,300. After 8 weeks paid training, earn $41,767. Come join our team and ask about our new paid job shadowing program. Join the best in correction. Apply now at sheriff.nashville.gov/apply or call 615-862-8170. That's 615-862-8170. The Nashville Sheriff, we're more than corrections.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
Our fleet vehicle program is a great benefit to all the fleet companies in Nashville. We are able to get their vehicle back on the road a lot quicker than the downtime of most dealers and most general repair shops, simply because we have the transmissions available. We're able to put priority on their vehicles to get them back on the road quickly.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
Darren McFarland.
And a mulligan that we all look for in golf. Lord knows our game could use it.
Willie Donick.
Outworked and outperformed a lot of other really good players.
Chase McCabe.
I want some sort of trade protection.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
Stillman and Company. Again, John Hines and David Poyle will meet with the media at 11 o'clock on Thursday, which means one thing. They are for sure lock it in coming back as coach and general manager of the Predators next year. And we got a bunch of takes to get to, but I promised phones, so phones we will do. 615-737-1025. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, live at First Horizon Park, where the Sounds take on the Louisville Bats tonight, 6:35. Caroline, go.
Alex is not happy with you.
Why?
Alex says, Jared, your comments about Duchesne could not be worse. I get those statistics on him about the teams he left, but he was one of our best players this year and our leader in goals in the playoffs. You can't talk that much trash on him.
Trash. I mean, I just don't think he's a winning player. And, I mean, what quantifies a winning player? I get it. It's completely anecdotal. But I just don't think – it's like people in radio, right? I think there are some really talented radio hosts. But if you don't have the same kind of intensity that I have, I just don't think those people are ever going to make it. I just don't think that the people – who don't just live it. Like Joe Hansen, for instance. Like, I don't think Joe Hansen's a winning player because I don't think he just lives this. And I believe Pekka Rinne lives it.
What is a winning player?
Like somebody, like Derrick Henry has the winning player in him. You know, AJ, I could be talked one way or another on. I don't find Lawan to be a winning player. You know what I mean? Like, Lawan can be on a team that wins, but I don't ever see Lawan as like a leader of a team that wins. And I just don't see Duchesne.
Is it because of the podcast?
No, I think it's because he's kind of a loser. You know, like the crying about the fans after the Colts game about, well, I heard they booed me when I came out with. It's like the thing that we were talking about off the air. About the time that John Hines, last year, John Hines knew I was going to ask him a question about Rod Brindamore, complaining about the penalties because, he knew. And so Hines knew what I was going to ask before I asked it. And I asked it. Hines took out a giant piece of paper and then started reeling off all the reasons that I was wrong. And my biggest issue with that was not like the fanboys on Twitter that were like, oh, you got him, coach. It was that, you're so worried about the loudmouth radio host in the middle of a playoff series that you took time out of your day to prepare for that question and answer when you're getting ready to play Game 6 against the Carolina Hurricanes. Dude, get ready for the game.
Like, focus on what's important.
Yeah, and with Duchesne, and I don't mean this to be like that he's a bad guy. I think Duchesne is just not a winning player. I just think he just kind of goes about it like it's a job. And you can have guys on your team and win that way, but you cannot build your team around those guys.
And I hear the texter saying, he had 40 goals this season. He led the Predators in goals in the playoffs. I understand that. First of all, what did that get you in the playoffs?
That's the only reason you can get out of it. Nobody wants your trash.
And that's the opportune time. I always say, get out while you're ahead. The Titans got out while they were ahead with AJ. Did you want the Titans to hold on to AJ and maybe he injures his leg again and he can't get out there on the field now? You can't trade him for anything. It's an uncomfortable move that you have to make because why would anybody else want your player who stinks?
Yeah. I mean,
and if you do want to rebuild,
Seattle didn't want him
back.
for free. They did not want him for free last year.
Well, and it was the contract with Seattle.
It's the same contract.
I know that, but it's not because Duchesne was a bad player. You just didn't want the contract.
No, I don't think they would
You
have.
don't just absolve yourself of the entire contract if you trade Duchesne. I can't imagine that you would.
I don't think that they would have. I do not think that Seattle would have taken. Like if Duchesne
Kelly
was.
Yarncroke is a much better player than Matt Duchesne.
No, but I think that if you had like any standard level of true commitment to a core player like Duchesne, so I'm talking like the same 6 years, $6 million per year that Forsberg has, or like the same contract Ekholm has, like that kind of contract. I still don't think they would have taken him, even though his contract is much better. Is more money than those contracts. What else we got?
Kyle texts in and says, most Stanley Cup winning teams are built from within, meaning they draft their superstars early. If we can miss the playoffs next season, get a top 5 pick, then we could be set for the future. It's a gamble, but it is worth it as every team, and that's in the Stanley Cup playoffs, has that type of star.
So I feel like every time we talk about that, we get talked down to.
In what way?
Like Chris Mason, like that. Well, how did those guys get those stars?
They have to be bad.
I know how they got the stars.
They drafted them.
That's how these sports work. Like, that's how the socialist government sports with salary caps work, is how do you get the really, really good players that aren't injured? You draft them. How did Cincinnati get Joe Burrow? They drafted him. But I do think there's a really inherent fear of not making the playoffs around here. And I don't know if it's a money thing. I don't know if it's a pride thing. I don't know if it's a anything can happen when you make the playoffs kind of thing. But, I mean, I think, again, the difference between us and them is they look at not making the playoffs as like, not make the playoffs, whereas I kind of look at not making the playoffs as, this team needs to reset a little bit. This team needs picks. This team needs to draft defensemen again. This team needs, young forwards that get you excited. Like, this team needs all of that stuff except for goalie. And I don't know if they feel that way or not. And then the other thing, too, comes down to the general manager and the coach, right? So if you want to take it down and build it up, those guys aren't going to be here when that's over. And they know that because they know how pro sports works. Like, you get fired. Like, these coaches of these teams that aren't very good get fired. Zach Taylor walked into last year on the hot seat in Cincinnati, and they just happened to go to the Super Bowl. But they were terrible those first 2 years, and those fans were like, all right, now, what's going to happen? And so that's sports. What's next?
Another texter says, I think Matt Duchesne is better when he has a good player in his line with him. It looks like the 2 best season he's had is with another player who also had a good season who played with him a lot.
So here's your option. You can either sign them both and be handcuffed to both of them, Forsberg and Duchesne. You can sign one and get young assets. What are those assets? I don't know. For the other one, like legitimate assets, because I think someone will give you a first-round pick for Duchesne. You can do that. Or you can keep one and get nothing for the other one. Which one would you choose?
Probably the second.
That's my line of thinking.
Get something in return. Keep the other one. You at least maintain a part of your core, but you have to get draft picks in return.
That's how I feel about it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. A former NFL general manager tells us what his expectation with Ryan Tannehill is and how much pressure is on Ryan Tannehill and why it drives me insane. We'll get to that next. Stillman & Company right here, live from First Horizon Park, where the Sounds take on the Louisville Bats tonight at 6:35. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game and 106.3.
The MTSU Blue Raiders live here.
Down, Middle Tennessee. 3 ball, yes, sir!
Tune us in on 97.5.
In the end zone, caught, touchdown!
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
This segment of ESPN 102.5 The Game is brought to you by Train Heating and Cooling Systems. Tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit traininfo.com to find your local independent train dealer. Traininfo.com. It's hard to stop a train.
Finding the right person for the job isn't easy. Just ask someone who hired a lounge singer to be their office receptionist.
Hello, this is Mickey Marquis, and you've reached the office of Doug & Associates. Thank you very much. Catch me Tuesday nights at the Hotel Johnson. Hello?
But if you've got an insurance question, you can always count on your local Geico agent. They can bundle your policies, which could save you hundreds.
Doug & Associates, this is Mickey Marquis. Hello?
For expert help with all your insurance needs, visit geico.com/local today.
And now it's Geico's Motorcycle Rules of the Road. Avoid biking in the rain and never touch another person's bike.
Hey guys, look at these bikes. So shiny. Whoops. I'm gonna leave a note. Oh gosh, there's more.
And the rule to saving on motorcycle insurance is, in 15 minutes, Geico could save you 15% or more.
Do you have joint pain in your knees or hips or shoulder or back? Pro football legend Emmitt Smith knows how disruptive it is.
How can you focus? How can you be at your optimal best when your body's under attack by pain?
That's why Emmitt's such a proponent of QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is here with regenerative options using natural biologics, non-surgical alternatives that offer lasting relief for pain in your knees, hips, lower back, and shoulders.
This natural biological treatment gives them the chance to get back in the game and to have a normal life.
QC Kinetics treatments laser focus on areas of intense pain, allowing your body to heal itself with no drugs, so you can focus on normal life.
Walking up the stairs without pain, getting on your bicycle without pain, running again, playing with the kids.
Your consultation is absolutely free.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024.
Smokeville Smoke Shop has been serving Hendersonville and Metro Nashville since 2015 and is committed to providing high quality, hands-on, and personable customer service. Stop in the Smokeville Smoke Shops in Hendersonville, Gallatin, Hermitage, and Goodlettsville to try any of their wide selection of locally sourced products and selection of top nationwide brands including vapes, hookah, hand-blown glass, detox systems, e-juices, kratom products, leaf wraps, a dab bar at the Hendersonville location, and much more. Visit Smokeville Smoke Shops today.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUZ HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN
102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury. He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Karen Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 102.5. The Game streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios tonight at First Horizon Park. Sounds and Louisville Bats. First pitch is 6:35. That's right. So the plenty of great seats available. They're taking batting practice out here right now, so they're ready to rock and roll. So I was listening to SiriusXM NFL Radio, which for some random reason has all of a sudden become like the 24/7 Ryan Tannehill channel. Which
I don't know if it's a random reason.
Why do you think it is? Because they drafted Malik Willis?
I think it's because, well, Tannehill did it to himself. I think Tannehill said something that was controversial in the eyes of the national media, and the people love that, especially coming from a quarterback.
I guess. I mean, like, Stephen Jones is doing the media round, so they could be talking Cowboys about all the things Stephen Jones says.
But what interesting is going on with the Cowboys right now?
It's the Cowboys!
Oh, but what interesting thing are you going to talk about?
How many Sirius XM subscriptions are sold for NFL radio?
I don't know.
And if you had to say, okay, what is the most popular team of those people, it'd have to be Cowboys.
Yes.
But then again, if you want to listen,
what is Dak saying about his
I will say
eventual?
this: if you do want to listen to a channel that literally talks nothing but the NFL, then you probably like the whole NFL. There is probably that.
Yeah.
So Doug Whaley, the former general manager of the Buffalo Bills, hosts a show, and he was asked by Solomon Wilcots about how much pressure is on Ryan Tannehill. And when I heard this, and this is a former general manager in the league, it set me through the roof. Here's what Doug Whaley said.
How much pressure is on Ryan Tannehill this season?
Well, I'll say this. No matter what you say, that offense still is running through Derrick Henry. So
there you go.
The pressure is on Tannehill. To me, it's don't make the fatal mistake. Do not throw the pick or the picks like he did in that playoff game. The offense isn't going to be on your shoulders. It's on Derrick Henry's shoulder. We just need you to, and I hate to say it, and people will say it, think it's a bad thing, but to manage the game.
I hate that. I honestly hate that.
Why?
Because we need to stop babying these players. And Ryan Tannehill, that's what that is, right? Like, hey, Ryan, you just need to not lose the game. Guess
Isn't
what?
that what we've been asking him this entire time? Don't lose the game.
How many chances do you get? You know what I mean? Like, I am a everything is earned kind of guy. Like,
he just got another one.
I am a you got to earn it. And Tannehill went out there, and he did not lose them the game in the 2019 season in the playoffs against New England and against Baltimore and in Kansas City where they lost. He didn't lose them that game. Tannehill played fine, and you won a lot of games. And the next year, Tannehill lost you the game against the Ravens. And then he lost you the game by, without there to be any question of whether or not he lost them the game against Cincinnati. In fact, and see, this is the other thing, is I'm so tired of trying to preach the same thing and expect different results. That's why I get mad about John Hines, because all these people tell me that John Hines is this great coach. He's never won anything. So I have to keep waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting until he finally wins something, and then you could say, see? And it's like with Tannehill, it's like I just got to keep waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting until he doesn't ruin the game. This was our show on January 3rd of last year, after the Titans beat the Dolphins. And this is why I'm not, this idea of putting my arm around Tannehill and saying, hey, man, just don't lose him the game. I'm over this, because this is what we said on January 3rd of this year going into the last week of the season and the playoffs. Against the Buffalo Bills, if I can get one of those from Tannehill, against Joe Burrow, if I can get one of those from Tannehill, then you have to hope that the defense can hold. By the way, second half, punt. They started at the Titan 42. They scored a touchdown. Game's over. So they only had to march it down the whole field one time. But what was the key? Tannehill didn't turn the ball over. What was the key against San Francisco? Tannehill didn't turn the ball over. Jimmy G turned the ball over. If Ryan Tannehill and the offense can just not turn the ball over, this team's got a really good shot at going to the Super Bowl. Playing at home matters. Just ask Cincinnati. All I said was just don't turn the ball over, and this team will go to the Super Bowl.
So why are you mad about them saying don't lose the game?
Because
isn't that kind of the same thing?
Because I'm not babying him anymore. Because the pressure is much.
When have we ever babied him?
You know what the pressure is now? The pressure is not to not lose the game. The pressure is you need to go save your career. Because if you go out there this year and you have the same season you have last year, or you have the same playoffs that you had last year, your career is over. The idea, if you want to be a backup, you can be a backup, but I don't know too many people that have made $150 million and want to be a backup. So, this is your career. And I think that's a lot more pressure than putting your arm around somebody and saying, I just hope you just don't lose us the game, buddy. Like, it'll be okay.
So you don't like the tone, not necessarily the message.
I don't like the attitude. I think the attitude is, dude, your career is on the line. Like, this team has just gone out and essentially drafted your replacement. And I think you should know this. Like that your team has drafted your replacement, that your team right now doesn't know if you can win them a Super Bowl, that nobody here wants to commit one dime more to you, and you have to go out there and prove it. And here's the other thing that bothers me, too, about just don't lose us the game, buddy. These are the NFL playoffs. At some point, you're going to have to throw the football now.
I think you're being too critical.
At some point.
I mean, my message is the exact same.
No.
Don't lose the game.
At some point.
That's what we've been preaching for the past 5 months. Don't lose the game.
No, we preached it leading into the Bengals game, and then he went and threw an interception on the first play. And then threw an interception on the last play. And then threw an interception somewhere there in the middle. And I would say this. At some point, he is going to have to win them a game. Like, I hate to break it to you. This is what the $38 million is for against the cap. The $30 million period. Mm-hmm. At some point, it's going to be 3rd down and 19, and you're going to have to get a first down. I mean, I go back to that Ravens game. They held Derrick Henry to 60 yards, but somehow that horrible defense in 2020 kept that game close enough that the Titans got the ball with a chance to tie it. And I know the receivers were hurt, and Davis was out, and you can't miss a wide-open Cam Batson in the middle of the field. You can't miss a wide-open A.J. Brown at the top of the field when you throw it to, what's the guy's name who sucks, who's in Detroit now? Khalif Raymond. When you try to throw the ball to Khalif Raymond and it gets intercepted. And to me, the whole patty cake thing, that's over. Like the whole arm around the shoulder, the whole, you don't have to. No, you got to win. You got to go out there for this team, and you got to start winning some ball games now. Like, you are going to have to, because it's not going to get easier. AJ's gone. Who knows if Derrick Henry's ever going to be the same off that foot? And the expectation is to win. And so when I hear this, and this goes back to my theory about Doug Whaley doesn't care about the Titans. The national media doesn't care about the Titans. So if the Titans get into the playoffs and they lose in the first round and, Tannehill just goes out there and plays average, but doesn't lose them the game where it's all his fault on national TV like the Bengals game was, then everybody will say, I mean, what do you expect from Tannehill? And I'm like, I expect Tannehill to go put my team in the position to win the game against Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, because that's what he's paid to do. And he's got to make up for what happened last year. Last year was just don't lose the game and let the chips fall where they lie. If they had played that Bengals game and Tannehill had not thrown interceptions, so let's say instead of the first interception, Brett Kern shanks a punt. And so Cincinnati gets 3 points. And then the second interception, they hand the ball to Deontay Foreman after he had the big run, and Deontay Foreman fumbles the ball, like the New England game. Mm-hmm. Deontay Foreman fumbles the ball, and the Bengals recover. And instead of the last one, instead of that 3rd down interception that Tannehill threw, the Titans punt it down to the Bengals, and the Bengals go 4 plays down the field, kick a field goal, and win. If that had happened, we would not have be complaining about Tannehill, and Malik Willis probably would not be on this team. But it did happen, and so now everybody here doubts you. So now you have to prove it to everybody else that you belong to play here. Not, hey, just earn your $30 million salary by not turning a ball over. That is not my expectation, because you're going to have to do more than that in week 2 when you go to Buffalo. You want to beat the Giants week 1, don't turn the ball over. But you're going to Buffalo week 2, quarterback's going to have to do a little bit more. He's not going to have AJ to do it for him. And so to me, I think that, there's 2 ways to address this. There's the sugarcoat way. There's the kiss-ass way, the way we did it last year, which was just don't turn the ball over. And then there's the real way, which is, dude, your career is on the line. Because even if it's not this guy, it'll be somebody else next year. They will get another quarterback if this guy doesn't pick it up. And I think there needs to be a little picking it up talk that goes on around there. No entitlement. Remember? That's what the coach said. So that Doug Whaley thing, boy, it got me just spun up. I mean, just don't turn the ball over, Tannehill. No. You need to pay what you owe. And right now it's
I think my thing is, I don't know if I necessarily trust him to do that. And that's a problem. And that's not anything new. That's something that has stemmed from this past season as well. But you say quarterback needs to be able to win them games. It's 3rd and 19. You need a first down. You need to be able to get them a first down if you're going to be a $30 million quarterback. I don't know if Tannehill can do that.
then he can't be here. And then
you lose.
And then his career is over. I mean, this is the make or break year for Ryan Tannehill's career. Because he will never be a starter again if he doesn't make it this year. Like what happened to Marcus, where Marcus had to go sit on the bench for 2 years, but he got another shot because of a weird happenstance kind of thing. That will not happen to Tannehill because he's too old. So, like, this is your career. Tannehill's not doing what he did to get out of Miami, where he took a $10 million pay cut and decided to go be a backup. He's not doing that. Like, this is it for him. And so that should be the message of, I don't know how much you love football. I think you love football. I don't know. But this is your career. This is it. 615-737-1025. And I think that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot more pressure than, hey, just don't turn the ball over. But it's time. It should be.
But don't turn the ball over.
It should be pressure time.
That's part of it. Don't turn the ball over.
Yes.
No matter how you want to say it. If you want to sugarcoat it or if you want to be harsh about it, don't turn the ball over.
So Ryan Tannehill, I asked Ryan Tannehill a really direct question that did not make headlines. That I asked it because I honestly wanted to know what he thought about it, and I wanted to talk about it. And we just didn't do it because the other question blew up so bad, and then the playoffs started, and so we had all that at one time. But I want to get to this coming up next. 615-737-1025. And it's a question that everybody thinks they know the answer to, but nobody actually has the answer to. We'll do that next. Stillman & Company right here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I love my friends at Hiller. They take great care of my home, and I promise you that they can do the exact same for you. Hiller has been taking care of my home for years. That's right. And they're proud supporters of all of our local teams like the Nashville Predators, the Tennessee Volunteers, and the Vanderbilt Commodores. And I absolutely love it because when you work with somebody like Hiller, they will do a fantastic job. I know this, again, because I have been doing this for forever with my friends at Hiller. So the one thing that I'll tell you is that now is the perfect time of year to call and get that HVAC system taken care of, because what will happen is at this time of the year, it starts to get hot and all of a sudden your AC goes out and you don't want that. So what do? I think the key is to call Hiller today to keep that from happening and put off the payments until later. Call my friends at Hiller in order to figure out how to do that. HappyHiller.com is the email address. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. My guys, call the Happy Face Truck today.
If you're on the road between downtown Nashville,
they're still in good shape to make the playoffs,
and I-840,
players make it clear they don't want to be somewhere anymore.
There's a new way to hear all your favorite shows and sports programming on 102.5 The Game.
I go back to that play and I shake my head. What I was worried about is that they were still just going to keep the goal.
It's 106.3 FM.
Think about all the good Titans teams.
This is very much so a run-first offense.
Now you have two choices to hear Nashville's best sports talk. Check out 106.3 now and add it as a favorite.
Spring into spring hiring with Indeed. Their powerful hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
In a world where human interaction seems to be reduced to chats and clicks and emails, where transactions are measured only by speed, where corporate policies overrule common sense, sometimes you just want to go old school. Welcome to Genesis Diamonds, a refreshing experience where personal relationships and authentic interaction are the norm, not the exception. At Genesis, you're here celebrating something awesome in your life, and we want to know all about it. We want to hear your story, listen to your requests, and be a meaningful part of whatever occasion this is. A proposal, an anniversary, a birthday, graduation, push gift, sweet 16. If it's important to you, it's important to us. So we don't care how long it takes. We're not paid on commission, and we're not beholden to some corporate rule book. We just want to help you get what you want to make it into a special memory. So take a break from modern shopping and go old school with us at Genesis. Let's start a real relationship that you can count on for life. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Trying to find a new home right now is next to impossible. Very little inventory, prices are crazy high, rates are moving up. Here's a better idea. Let my friends at Loan Pronto refinance your current home, turn all that equity you have into cash, and totally transform your house. A new kitchen, new bathroom, a pool. Think about it. Your home value is up. Instead of wasting all that on an overpriced new house, convert that equity into cash for a home makeover. One local couple did it and got $200,000 out. They added new hardwoods, an outdoor living space, a swimming pool with spa and all new cabinets and appliances, plus a home office. Now they have their dream home, and they never had to move. Call Loan Pronto. Ask about their home improvement refi. Give your home a total makeover and do it now. You can even skip your next house payment in the process. Call now, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
At Mitchell's Mr. Transmission, we also offer free towing with any major repairs. If your vehicle has a breakdown and you should need any type towing, towing is available through Dad's Towing Service. Dad's is a professional towing company in Nashville that provides all types of towing and recovery, 24 hours a day.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
The playoff loss still linger with you and bother you, and do you, I guess, listen to any of the things that are said, in terms of people wanting to put the blame on you for that loss?
It's a scar. It's a deep scar. It was a lot of sleepless nights. Every time I closed my eyes, I was rewatching the game in my head. Didn't get a whole lot of sleep for weeks and weeks after the game. Was in a dark place, and it took me a while and a lot of work to get out of it. It wasn't something that went away easily, and it's still a scar that I'll carry with me, throughout the rest of my life. But just like a cut on your arm, starts off as a wound. You're able to heal from it. And it turns into a scar. It never leaves you, but it's always there, and it can remind you. And now it's fuel for me. It's fuel for me to work and get ready with a passion and come into the season with a fire and a desire to win like I've never had before.
There you go. That was Tannehill in the Bengals game, which I actually appreciated him saying, even though some people didn't, which I don't, whatever. I appreciated Tannehill basically taking ownership for the Bengals game. But the bigger question with Tannehill is, why was his season last year so bad compared to the seasons before? Because 19, he looked like a dude, and albeit not in the playoffs, but we made excuses, and I was chief among those. And then 2020, his season was great, but his playoffs weren't very good, and I didn't make a lot of excuses for the playoffs, but his season was really good. And last year was terrible. So I asked Tannehill about that, and this is what Tannehill said. Was your 21 season not as good as your 20 or 19 season?
I think a lot of good and a lot of bad, and a lot of things went into it. It wasn't one thing or another. We broke down all the turnovers and what led to those, and it wasn't, any one specific area that really jumped up. It was just, a little bit here, then you add the sum and you get the big growth. So just taking a step back and reevaluating those things and, seeing where I can improve upon going forward.
You know what I think that answer was?
What?
Not my fault. Because it's it wasn't really one area. We look back at all the turnovers and we looked at what it was, and some here and some there and some here and some pass protection, some here with the receivers not getting open, some here with the ball hitting Chester Rogers in the shoulder and popping up in the air, some here. Now this one I made a bad mistake on throwing that interception, but I think it was that's just my interpretation of what he said there, which I hear you. Because there were a lot of excuses to be made, and trust me, I know he doesn't listen to this stuff, but the excuses were made for him during the course of the season.
Oh, yeah.
Especially by our morning show.
Offensive line, pass catchers, didn't have the chemistry with Julio.
Derrick Henry got hurt.
So
AJ
was hurt.
There was a lot of excuse making to go around, and it did happen. But I don't know if we will see this year if he's right or wrong.
But also, do we want to buy it?
I mean,
because is Ryan Tannehill going to say, yeah, you know what, actually that offensive line was just atrocious and I was always seeing ghosts and I never felt comfortable in the pocket.
So
I say that.
I'm gonna put it to you like this. For whatever reason, you didn't have a great semester.
Uh-huh.
And then you throw 3 interceptions on the final exam? F.
Yeah, I mean, yes, the final game of the season was very much so him.
I could make the argument during the season that it wasn't his fault, but I'm not making the argument for the finale, so I'm lumping it all together.
But that's also the one thing that has remained the same is, we could make excuses in the regular season, but 19, 20, and 21
Playoff
games, he just poops the bed.
Yeah, I mean, in 20 and 19, he did a good job of not. I mean, even then, you could argue the interception he threw against the Patriots was exactly like some of the mistakes that he's made, some of the boneheaded stuff that he's done in the other playoff games. And it just didn't bite them because Julian Edelman dropped the ball. So you can make that case, but that's one of those if this didn't happen. But he did throw he did throw the interception. It was a horrible interception intended for Davis, where he panicked and just threw the ball up in the air, and I forget who intercepted it. Maybe it was J.C. Jackson. I can't remember. But the Patriots intercepted it, and I was like, oh, God. I was like, yep, the dumb decision right there. Let's go to your phones. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What do we have? Thank you for the text line, which is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
One texter texts in and says, how short of a leash should Tannehill have before the Titans think about putting Malik Willis in?
So I don't think that Tannehill will be threatened by Malik Willis this year. I think the Titans will carry 3 quarterbacks. Now, this is just a hypothesis without having seen a single practice of the 3 together or without Malik Willis having ever practiced against real NFL players. I believe the plan is right now, Tannehill starts, Logan backs up, Malik's the 3rd guy. And Bill Polian made a case for him, having packages designed for Willis. I get that, but I think my thing is that I don't care about if you activate all 3 quarterbacks, that's 1 guy on special teams or 1 backup offensive lineman, and then you get in a situation, and then who's going to be your gunner, and then what do you do?
But you could make that argument for any position group.
All I know is the Titans went into games in 2020 with 3 outside linebackers active on game day. If you can go in there with 3 outside linebackers active on game day, you can go in there with 1 less gunner on your roster, or you can ask Nick Westbrook-Akina to do more, and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. That's my theory, but I think Logan's the backup. I think Tannehill is the starting quarterback this year, and if he loses the job in the middle of the season, it will be because you suck. And at that point, then the question will be, is Malik the guy, or is somebody else the guy? What else we got?
One texter checks in also. Not happy with you. Says you talk every day about the Titans, but you know nothing about them. They're a run-first team. All Tannehill has to do is hand the ball off and throw less than 25 passes a game.
You're right. I know nothing about the Titans. I don't remember the fact that in the game where they tried to hand the ball off to the Ravens, they ultimately needed Tannehill to throw it. I guess I don't remember being at the AFC Championship game 2 years ago. Well, I guess technically 3 years ago, at the AFC Championship game where the Titans got the ball before the half up, and I want to say there was 2 minutes to go in the half, 3 minutes to go in the half, and everybody knew what the Titans were going to try to do. They were going to try to run the football and run out the clock and not give the ball back to Mahomes, or run the football, get in position to take a shot, and try to get some points before halftime. But they were treading water at that point. I think the score at that point was 17-14. And the Titans ended up going 3 and out because they tried to run the ball and it didn't work, because in the NFL, they ultimately can stop the run if they want to by bringing somebody else down in the box. They can always bring one more than you can block. That's what Kansas City did, and you need Tannehill once Mahomes makes that run for that touchdown before the half. You need Tannehill to get you back in that game, and he never did. The Titans forced a 3 and out to begin the second half, or it wasn't a 3 and out, but they forced a punt to begin the second half with Kansas City. Down, I believe, at that point, 21-17. That's when you need Tannehill to make a play. And I know Kansas City was good, and Buffalo's going to be good, and Cincinnati's good, and the Ravens might be good, and the Colts might be good. And who else might be good in the AFC this year? Denver might be good. And they all might be good.
Vegas might be good.
But if you're going to beat somebody, you got to make the plays. You can't have the plays made for you. It'll work a couple of times, but it won't work every time. And ultimately, if you're going to beat these teams to go win the Super Bowl, either everything's going to go your exact way or you're going to have to win them a game. Everybody always looks at Peyton Manning's first championship, and it's like, well, he beat Rex Grossman. And I get that. Like, that was not a hard Super Bowl for Indianapolis to win. He came back from down 21 points against Tom Brady Patriots the week before. That's winning your way into the Super. Like, that is the moment. It didn't matter It's like when the Red Sox overcame a 3-0 hole against the Yankees. It didn't matter who they played after that. They were going to win the series no matter what. It's the Red Sox. They overcame a 3-0 hole from the Yankees. At that point, the season doesn't matter. It's over. Like, they broke the curse, and you knew they were going to win the World Series. Manning overcomes a 21-point deficit against Brady. You know, give him a layup because he earned it. And Tannehill is going to have to earn something. It's not going to have to be that. But he's going to have to earn something for this team to win the Super Bowl. I totally believe it. Just like Jimmy Garoppolo. If Jimmy Garoppolo hits Emmanuel Sanders for a wide-open touchdown in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, Kansas City loses, San Francisco wins, Jimmy's the MVP, and Trey Lance is not on that roster.
It could make the same argument at the NFC Championship.
What about the guy
with
that dropped?
San Francisco, yeah.
Well, but that guy just dropped it. But I'm talking about for quarterbacks. Like, this affects Jimmy's entire career.
Yeah.
Because he missed one throw. But you got to make the throw. You got to make that. Emmanuel Sanders is wide open, and the Super Bowl is right there. And for everything, you got to make the throw. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Trevor Maddich will join us next. I want to know what Trevor thinks about Treylon Burks and what happened at minicamp. Plus, we'll get his thoughts on Vrabel's comments about Malik Willis and Tannehill today. So we'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company right here, live from First Horizon Park. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
If you're on the road between downtown Nashville,
they're still in good shape to make the playoffs,
and I-840,
players make it clear they don't want to be somewhere anymore.
There's a new way to hear all your favorite shows and sports programming on 102.5 The Game.
I go back to that play and I shake my head. What I was worried about is that they were still just going to keep the goal.
It's 106.3 FM.
Think about all the good Titans teams.
This is very much so a run-first offense.
Now you have two choices to hear Nashville's best sports talk. Check out 106.3 now and add it as a favorite.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now, 615-576-5000.
Realizing Geico is your one-stop shop for all your insurance needs is like realizing you can just toss the whole measuring cup into the washer so it won't get gunked up with laundry detergent.
I guess it doesn't work for coffee mugs, huh?
It's something that's been right in front of you this whole time, like how Geico offers 24/7 emergency roadside service to help you when you need it most. Or how athletic wristbands aren't for your wrists, they're for wiping sweat off your forehead.
Great. So, what are headbands for?
80s night at the dance club. Woo!
It's something you can't believe you never realized before, like how Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance, with even more ways to save when you add boat, motorcycle, and RV insurance. Or how a pony is its own animal and not just a baby horse.
So, what's a baby pony called?
Getting more ways to save. It's just one of the many reasons to switch to Geico. They're all right there in front of you.
Attention, buckaroos! It's time for the Franklin Rodeo, so saddle up and hold on to your lasso. It's 3 days of bull riding, calf roping, western wear, funny clowns, and some of the most talented horses you've ever seen. Join the Stampede this weekend. The Franklin Rodeo is held at the Williamson County Ag Expo Park and is brought to you by Franklin Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, Williamson Medical Center, Wesley Mortgage, and Event 1FX. Tickets on sale now at franklinrodeo.com. It's a buckin' good time.
Get a great deal on versatile Kubota equipment today, like Kubota BX and L Series compact tractors, part of our under 100 horsepower tractor lineup rated #1 for reliability, Z Series mowers, and Sidekick utility vehicles. Stop by your local Kubota dealer today. Bring home the Kubota L2501 tractor for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 60 months, plus save up to $1,100 now through June 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details.
2 locations to serve you, Columbia Kubota or Franklin Kubota. Visit them online at ColumbiaKubota.com or FranklinKubota.com.
The sounds. Play ball.
Matthias lines one to the middle, a base hit into center. That'll bring in Davis. Terang right behind him. He will score.
The Nashville Sounds are back at First Horizon Park to take on the Louisville Bats.
Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Sounds win.
Coverage begins at 6:20 on your home for the Sounds. ESPN 94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Roman Yossi. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Stone and Company, we're live at First Horizon Park where the Nashville Sounds take on the Louisville Bats tonight. First pitch 6:35. And a lot was made about Traylon Burks' weekend. Now, he did sign his rookie contract today, and so I see the email like, Titans agree to terms with Traylon Burks. And I'm like, yeah, there's really nothing to talk about there. You already know what he's going to make ahead of time. You know that he's going to sign him. It's not like the old days where guys used to hold out and there were, like serious negotiations over rookie contracts and stuff like that. But a weird weekend for Traylon Burks. So he practices in the rookie minicamp on Friday, does not make it through, goes back inside, comes back out for 2 more reps. The local media said there was an inhaler involved, and there were a lot of people hypothesizing about the heat and other things. Vrabel asked about it, said, we just do whatever the trainer says, and didn't really get into it much except use his soapbox to talk about how players need to be working out at the team facility and not with their trainers. And everybody's got their own opinion about it. But then he did go through the whole practice on Saturday with no problem. Trevor Maddich joins us now, ESPN college football analyst, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. Trev, your thoughts. You played in the NFL. You've done rookie mini camps. You live here. What are your thoughts on Traylon Burks not being able to get through his first day of rookie mini camp? And what would your concern level be about Burks?
I'm disgusted. Flat out disgusted.
Wow.
Now, assuming that we don't learn, that he inhaled a golf ball when he was a kid and it still lodged in his lung and it gives him trouble, or he was sick or something like that. And there's no indication of that right now. If he just came in out of shape, then that's just beyond pathetic. It's beyond pathetic. It hurts the team on the field because they need him to be able to practice well and hard with efficiency and mental focus without being unduly fatigued over the course of this rookie minicamp to get him ready for the next step in his development. And if he's not in shape, then he can't do that. But from a standpoint of, so that hurts the team. It's a temporary thing, not that big of a deal. The reason I'm disgusted is that coming in as a first-round draft choice, he needs to know that everybody's going to be watching him. Everyone's going to be judging him, evaluating him. The spotlights are on him, and he'd better be ready to be his best self in the moment. And I hear people make excuses that nobody's really ready for rookie minicamp because it's the NFL and the physical demands are greater. And all those things are true. But there wasn't a single other rookie that I'm aware of that fell out of that practice, especially not 20 minutes into the practice. Only one did. And that was the first-round draft choice, Traylon Burks. And so if there's no reason underlying that, and he just wasn't ready for the moment, well, let's put it this way. He was the least ready for the moment of all the other rookies who showed up. That's just incredibly disgusting.
How much would you worry about the fact that, Malik Willis doesn't have to play week 1, and Roger McCreary, they've got other corners. They traded A.J. Brown. And they need Traylon Burks to be ready week 1 against the Giants. How worried would that first day of minicamp make you feel about the Giants game, even though it's months away?
You know what's crazy, Jared, is actually it makes me feel better. Because this happening now, I think, should sting him. If it doesn't sting him, then the Titans made a bad character draft choice. But if he's got football character, and by all indications he does, this should sting him because of conversations that we're having now, that people all over this fan base are having about him and about that moment. And I don't think there's any chance that he's going to not be ready fully ready for the start of training camp and be in the very best shape of his life and be in the best shape of everybody in that wide receiver room. And every team has a conditioning test at the beginning of training camp. It varies by team, but it might be 14 110-yard dashes for time with a very limited amount of rest in between, that kind of a thing. And the last one has to be within a certain number of seconds from the first one, right? But they've all got to be, depending on position group, faster than a certain amount, so you can't sandbag it. Those conditioning tests are designed so that you cannot tough it out. If you're not ready for it, you can't just be just a tough physical guy and you're just going to make it happen anyway. Those are designed that if you didn't do the work, you will fall out. And so I think he will know that, and he'll be focused on that, and he will not want to have this happen to him then. So when you talk about the opener, Jared, I think this actually is better because I think he's going to come into that training camp in superior condition. If he doesn't, then we have another conversation.
Do you worry about Burks? Because at 225, I read a Bruce Feldman article before the draft in which he talked to a wide receivers coach who said, I think the quote was that he's 2 biscuits short of being a flexed out tight end. He's 225. He ran a 4.55 at the combine, which a lot of people were underwhelmed by. They expected him to run faster at the combine. Do you worry about his shape at all?
I don't worry about that at all, no. You talk about the speed, 4.55. If he gets it all onto the field, that's fast enough. Jerry Rice, I think, timed out at 4.6, which is one of the reasons that about half the league passed on him. He was taken 16th by the 49ers in the 1985 draft, and people thought he was too slow. But you rarely saw Jerry Rice get caught from behind because he got all of that speed onto the field. And when you watch tape on Burks at Arkansas, he didn't seem to get caught from behind. He didn't appear slow. He appeared to be plenty fast enough to make big plays down the field. So I don't worry about that speed also because, if he was 180, it'd be different. But at 225, he also is much more physical than the smaller guys that would be faster than him, but he's faster than a lot of, if not most, of the bigger guys that can match his physicality. And the fact that he might be 2 biscuits short of playing a flex tight end is actually good because of the options it gives for physical mismatches that you can scheme up with formation and motion. So I don't worry about that. But being 225, there was no lineman that fell out of that first practice. Not one. They're a lot bigger than 225. Only one guy fell out. That's what worries me.
Mm-hmm. Trevor Matich, our guest, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. Mike Vrabel was appearing on Sirius XM NFL Radio this morning and was asked about the Tannehill and Willis fallout from the comments. Here's what Vrabel said this morning, Trevor.
You went and drafted a very highly touted quarterback, Malik Willis, that I thought that was a great pick in the 3rd round. How do you think, after I saw you supported what Tannehill had to say, and I understand that, but how do you think that that's going to work? Do you think that Ryan really will end up being somewhat of a mentor for Malik?
All I can tell you is what I saw yesterday when they were both on the field together, and it looked like a team with 3 quarterbacks that are all supporting each other and 2 veteran guys that have been here that understand the drills that are helping the younger player. And that's all I can go by is what I saw yesterday. And I would say that was extremely positive.
Trevor, what do you make of that?
That's what he had to say. I think that of all NFL head coaches, Mike Vrabel would be critical, then not political, if he really wanted to be. So I kind of take him at his word on that. And I really think that that's probably the way it's going to go about being. I mean, it's not like Brett Favre kind of shunning Aaron Rodgers when he was drafted to take Favre's place. And then Rodgers turning around and kind of shunning Jordan Love. I mean, he wasn't mean to him, but he didn't help him at all. I don't think we're going to have this kind of a situation. I think that in part because I'm sure Tannehill was stung about the way his comment was taken, he's going to make sure that he goes out of his way to be friendly towards Willis. And that's good because the team, let's put it this way, if I'm on that team, if I'm in that locker room, I don't expect Ryan Tannehill to spend hours every day after practicing and meetings trying to coach that guy up. That's not his job. That's the quarterback coach's job, right? But I do expect him to be positive and help the kid along because if something happens to Tannehill, I, as a member of that team, still need to win a football game. and then another until Tannehill gets back. And that means I need the backup quarterback to be as capable as possible. Now, it's not the starting quarterback's job to get the backup ready, but the starting quarterback can do small things to help the backup learn how to be a pro, learn how to prepare, learn how to watch film. People think that, they hear the term learn how to watch film. They think, what are you talking about? You just watch what's up there. No, you're looking for specific things at specific times in specific situations that can eventually give you one edge on one play in a specific scenario and a specific down and distance. And you're looking for those things. Those are the kinds of things that Tannehill can kind of help with, just a word here and a word there with Malik Willis. And so I think that Tannehill probably being stung by the way his words were taken when he said it's not his job to mentor Malik Willis. I think he will go out of his way to make sure that the appearance in public at least is that they're getting along well. And he also needs to give that same appearance to his teammates, because if they think that he is being selfish, that he is trying to keep the kid down because he's in a fit of pique and a fit of, disrespect because they drafted him in the third round, whatever it is, if the team looks at him and sees that, they're not going to respect him as much, and it hurts the team. So I think that Tannehill's smart enough to understand those things, and I think that at least the appearances will be correct.
Trevor Maddich is with us, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, where experience matters. There is, Trev, I got to get to this, there is something Vrabel keeps harping on that it seems like he's mad at somebody. I want to get your thoughts on that. I also want to get your thoughts on Malik Willis after rookie minicamp and what your expectations for him are. And there's a college coach they just announced who was making way too much money. We'll get to that next with Trevor Stillman and company, live from First Horizon Park. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 5, join us for Jared versus Joe as they debate all of the big topics in sports, presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and Mayweather Boxing and Fitness on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Great looking afternoon with sunny skies, high temperature of 86 and low humidity. Tomorrow, storms creep back into the forecast and 90s return the rest of the week.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. Being arrested doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. Being served with custody paperwork doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. It may feel that way, but if you have Amanda J. Gentry representing you, you can feel confident that you're going to have the best quality representation in all of Middle Tennessee. Amanda J. Gentry goes wherever justice demands. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
When looking for quality adult recreational sports in Nashville, look no further than Midstate Sports. With over 25,000 participants, they are one of the largest sports organizations in the Southeast. Summer registration is now open for adult sports like softball, sand volleyball, soccer, flag football, kickball, and basketball. For a full list of adult sports offerings, check out midstatesports.com. It's no debate. Play Midstate.
I come from a military family.
That's Stasha at Genesis Diamonds talking about the Hero Rewards program at Genesis, providing special discounts every day for heroes in uniform.
Whatever their budget is, we're going to make sure it stretches the best for them and that they will get the most beautiful ring at the best value.
Special hero pricing on any item extends to all military plus police, fire, and first responders.
They make us have the great life we have, and we are eternally grateful for that.
Genesis Hero Rewards program and free services is yours for life, no matter where you move.
Travel anywhere in the world, we're one phone call away. So no matter where you're stationed, if you're military or if you're a police officer and you go to another state, we're going to take good care of you.
Of course, it doesn't hurt that Genesis owner Boaz Ramon is himself a veteran of the Israeli army.
Boaz, having served in the military, appreciates the military and what they do for us.
Genesis Diamonds, where our heroes in uniform get red carpet pricing and white glove treatment every day of the year.
Because they're there for us.
Genesis Diamonds and pre-owned Rolexes, continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
Our fleet vehicle program is a great benefit to all the fleet companies in Nashville. We are able to get their vehicle back on the road a lot quicker than the downtime of most dealers and most general repair shops, simply because we have the transmissions available. We're able to put priority on their vehicles to get them back on the road quickly.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
Inside knowledge on the Titans.
Todd Downey's got his notepad out right now, just writing things out. Ooh.
Inside knowledge on the Predators.
They can go right into the forecheck, and boom, you get a beautiful goal from Colton Sissons.
And then there's a team in Knoxville.
How excited should Tennessee fans be by what they've seen from Josh Heupel in year one?
Wake up and hang out with Robbie and Rexroad. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
You're listening to Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Stillman & Company, we are live at First Horizon Park. Trevor Maddux is with us, ESPN analyst, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. Trev, Caroline and I picked up on something very interesting from Mike Vrabel. One, on Friday, he talked about how guys, think they can train with their trainer, but nothing equals what they can do at the facility. Today on SiriusXM, he talked about how he's getting entitlement out of the organization, and then talked about how this is his favorite time of the year because he's coaching the guys who want to be here. We think Vrabel might be mad at somebody. We know that there was a big hubbub made about Tannehill missing the beginning of voluntary workouts. Trev, do you think Mike Vrabel's upset at his team right now?
No, I think anytime you have your starting quarterback that doesn't show up at the beginning of voluntary workouts, it's going to make you mad, especially a guy like Vrabel who's not that far away from his own playing career. And I think he sees players not just as a coach, but as he would as a player in the locker room. That's why Traylon Burks falling out in the first 20 minutes of the first practice of rookie camp is a problem, because the teammates will look at that and wonder if they can count on him. And he'll have to dig out of that hole. So Tannehill, who doesn't really need to be there at the beginning of voluntary workouts from a standpoint of his play on the field, needs to be there to show the team that he's there with them and that everybody's the same and that nobody's better than anybody else and the commitment is equal. And when I heard Mike Vrabel's words, it sounded like he was talking exactly like Tannehill. There might be some other people that he's thrown into that bucket, but when he said specifically that when they've got players that don't show up for a few weeks at the beginning of voluntary workouts, and when they get here, it's just not the same. My impression was he's saying that Ryan Tannehill just isn't the same as he would have been had he been there from the beginning. Now, I don't know that that's exactly fair. I think he's probably engaging in some hyperbole to make sure that the message gets across. But the message to me is any player, rookie or veteran, who misses any voluntary or voluntary workouts is going to be in his doghouse, and they should just get ready for it. So I think the whole team has been served notice.
You know what I think it is, Trevor? I think it's Derrick Henry. We were talking about this earlier today. Derrick Henry, when did we find out that he was in Dallas?
In the 2:00 hour, but he was in Dallas yesterday.
Okay, so Derrick Henry was in Dallas yesterday. Derrick Henry, last year the offseason program, the voluntary stuff was canceled. The year before that, there was no offseason program because of COVID. Derrick Henry's trained with his trainer the last 2 years, and the results have been outstanding. But now things are back to normal. I think Derrick probably looks at it as, this is how I've trained, so I'm going to keep training this way. And I think Vrabel looks at it as Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry, and the young players will try to emulate whatever Derrick Henry does. I think it's Derrick Henry, Trevor. I can understand both sides of it. I can understand why Derrick Henry would say, why would I change what I'm doing? And I can understand why Vrabel would feel the need that Derrick Henry has to set the example for the entire team, because he's Derrick Henry. What do you think?
Yeah, I can see both of them. And truthfully, coaches will treat different players differently based on who they are and what their strengths and weaknesses are. The quarterback needs to be there. The running back, even though he's leader of the team and all that, since he's been working out successfully on his own, doing what he's been doing in years past, then showing up ready to go, the running back, not the quarterback, it's a little bit different from a standpoint of the dynamic in the locker room. At the same time, if it is Derrick Henry, I can see what he's talking about, because Henry's presence as an example to those young guys that you talked about, how to be a pro, how to work out, how to take care of your body after practice. Do you get in an ice bath? What do you do? How to, all the things that he would be able to show by example, and the relationships that he could be building with some of those young guys, they all have some value. But I think when you look at Derrick Henry, a lot of it to me has to do with he's rebuilding his body in a lot of ways to get back to where it was before that foot injury. Because that, I've had that. I've had a Jones fracture, broke my foot, same place. I have a big giant screw in it. And I can tell you that you lose a whole lot of muscle mass. You lose a lot of coordination. In some cases, you have to relearn how to do football moves because you have so much atrophy and you're in the muscle memory and everything else that just fades. Now, he came back and played in the playoffs, but he still wasn't the Derrick Henry of before that injury.
Sure.
And so I can see where Vrabel would want to have him there so he could have the medical staff have an eyeball on him during that reconstruction to the body that he had at the beginning of last year.
How much at Derrick Henry's age do you worry? And you said you've had the same injury as Derrick. How much do you worry about Derrick's ability to get back to being Derrick Henry?
It's usually mental more than physical, but this injury I think is just purely physical, and I don't think his age has much to do with it. What his age would have to do with is redeveloping his muscle mass and muscle memory and all those different things. Age would have an issue with that, but Derrick Henry has shown, at least I haven't seen any indication that age has caught up with him yet. So, I don't know that's going to be a problem. The thing is, with this injury, it's a Jones fracture, which is a break in the fifth metatarsal, in this case his right foot, which is the bone that connects the base of your little toe back towards your heel. And there's very little blood flow to that area. So it used to be that they used to cast it and let it heal naturally. And the x-ray showed that it healed, but it would still be weak because of the poor vascular feeding of oxygen, et cetera, to that place. So now what they do is they'll put in screws and even plates, and Derrick Henry has both, in order to really make sure that bone doesn't have little tiny movements that can make that fracture not heal fully. So I think that the fracture is not going to be a problem for him. I mean, I broke mine my rookie year in 1985, right? They installed ultimately a screw that's almost as big around as a pencil and almost as long as that bone, that fifth metatarsal, and they countersunk it. This was the second screw that they put into it. They countersunk it, and it's still there. And I played basically 11 years in the NFL with that screw, and it's still there. And they say if I get run over by a truck, that'll be the last bone that'll break. So with Henry, I think it'll be about the same. In other words, the screw and the plate, unless they removed it secretly, are still there. And that's not going to be like a knee that might be a trick knee or an ankle that might be a trick ankle. He won't notice it. The only thing that he might notice is the reconstruction that we talked about, and I would tend to think that the coaching staff would like to have him there under their own medical staff during that reconstruction, because that's a bigger project than just staying in shape for the football season.
Trevor Matich is our guest. Malik Willis showed off to the local media in the rookie minicamp. A little bit of good, a little bit of bad. Great arm, good athlete. What do you make of his timetable? And would you expect him to be the backup behind Tannehill? Or do you think the Titans will plan to go with 3 quarterbacks and bring Willis along slowly?
Well, the safe thing is to go with 3 quarterbacks. But Logan Woodside's been the backup here for the last couple of years. So here's your trick question of the day. Who has more completions in the NFL since 2018? Logan Woodside or Caroline?
I was going to say Jared Stillman. Yeah, I mean, Logan Woodside has no complete. Kevin Byard has more completions than Logan Woodside.
Right, he's got 1. He's got 3 pass attempts and 1 completion. There's nothing wrong with that. But so the concept that he's been here for a couple of years, so he knows the offense, he's still a completely unknown quantity when it comes to playing in a regular season game.
Sure.
And so, and so is Malik Willis. But one thing we know about Malik Willis is that you can play single wing and just make it a wildcat with him being the running back if that's what you have to do, right? With Logan Woodside, you hope that he'd be able to go in and do everything he needs to do. He probably can. I don't know, which means that if they want to just keep 2 quarterbacks, I wouldn't have a problem with them keeping Willis as the backup, just because you're not displacing a proven backup anyway. And although really the safe thing would be to have Woodside there because he would be less likely to make a big mistake. And that's the first job of a backup quarterback. Not to go out and make plays, just don't mess it up any more than it has to be messed up. And Woodson is least likely to make that mess up.
Trevor Matich with his last one for you. I know coaching salaries are out of whack. It came out today. Coach K's salary last year was $12.5 million. I'm sorry. I know that Coach K is one of the greatest college coaches of all time. I know he's won a bunch of national championships, but he ain't that good. Duke could have found somebody else to be not as good, but definitely worth more than the money. Coach K hadn't won a title in 7 years. I'm not pocket watching, but seriously, Trevor, $12.5 million for Coach K.
Yeah, that's an awful lot of money. I mean, Nick Saban, I think, makes about $9.5 million, right?
Sure.
Plus other, stuff thrown in there.
Saban, and I love K. Saban is a much better a coach than K is.
Well, I think Saban is not just a good administrator. He's also one of the best actual physical coaches of defense in college football. So he'll get on the field and coach the defensive backs and make them better, right? The thing about it, though, is that the money you pay a coach has to do not just with how good of a coach he is. It's how much money he brings in and his program brings in. Saban, the net profit of Alabama football, I think, is around $50 million a year. That's the net. If you look at if Alabama football were an NFL franchise, it's been valued in the vicinity of $1 billion. And so the most important figure in that $1 billion corporation, essentially, making $9.5–10 million, yeah, that's reasonable.
Sure.
And the thing about Duke basketball is that this last year it was the second highest revenue of any basketball program, second only to your Louisville Cardinals, Jared. But they make about $8 million more than Kentucky does. The 5 national championships, all that stuff that's important. But ultimately, you get paid as a percentage of the revenue that you generate, and Coach K has brought in a whole lot of money.
There you go, Trevor Matich, as always, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics. Great stuff, Trev. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Jared.
Yep, Trevor Matich joining us on the program. Coach K, $12.5 million. Coach K is a good coach.
But that's ridiculous.
12.5. If Saban's making 9 and K's making 12.5, that's not right. 615-737-1025. Mike Vrabel is mad. How mad? Why is he mad? Who's he mad at? We'll get to that next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, and I'm just going to tell you all right now here on the program that Nashville's own Big Machine Distillery wants to send you to the inaugural Tennessee Whiskey Trail to experience to celebrate International Tennessee Whiskey Day on May 21st at Nissan Stadium. Text WHISKEY to 615-737-1025 to enter to win a pair of tickets.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings from 5 to 9.
Did you see the Tennessee Titans? He has all the weapons to make it happen.
There's so much to pay attention to. Greeny from 9 to 11.
Ryan Tannehill is the most disrespected player.
Art and Han from 11 to 2.
You never stop punching. They've got to learn how to close the deal.
And the Paul Feinbaum Show afternoons from 2 to 6.
Are these legitimate contenders to the party?
Your exclusive home for ESPN Radio in the Music City.
ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics wants to thank their patients for voting them the #1 orthopedic practice in the Nashville Scene Poll for 3 years in a row. Their physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, and other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all physicians, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
What if you could be debt-free in 3 weeks? Hey, Willie Donick here. My friends at Loan Pronto are helping people do it every day. It's Loan Pronto's Debt Consolidation Home Refi, wiping out tens of thousands in credit card debt. Listen, your home's value is way up. You can refinance now, take money out to pay off all your credit cards, eliminate PMI charges, pay off personal loans, or other high-interest debt. One local couple had over $50,000 in credit card debt. Loan Pronto did a debt consolidation refi, And even though their mortgage rate went up a tad, they cut their monthly payments by $900. Why pay 20% interest when you can consolidate it to one low payment with a mortgage APR in the 3s? Homeowners who do it save an average of $800 a month. Do it now and even skip your next house payment altogether. That's what I call financial freedom. Call Loan Pronto now. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
The city famous for its music is about to be overwhelmed by the Symphony of Speed. June 24th through 26th, Nashville Superspeedway will host an exciting weekend of NASCAR racing and entertainment featuring the Ally 400 Cup Series race, the Tennessee Lottery 250, and the Rackley Roofing 200. Tickets are going fast, so visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com or call 866-RACE-TIX and brace yourself for some full-throttle fun.
Looking for a career with purpose or have that passion for youth development? Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provides a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. And that starts with you, offering competitive pay and free after-school care for employees. Learn more at bgcmt.org.
The Game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Be a part of the conversation. Call or text the Game at 615-737-1025.
O'Reilly. If your vehicle squeals or grinds when you slow down or just isn't stopping like it used to, you may need new brake rotors and pads. Now through May 24th at O'Reilly Auto Parts, get 15% off a set of Brake Best Select or Import Direct brake pads and 2 rotors. Restore safe braking and save money now at O'Reilly Auto Parts or order online at O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN,
102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
a Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game. And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Karen Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stone and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 102.5. The Game streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Lynn and Gentry. Live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Live today at First Horizon Park, where the Sounds will take on the Louisville Bats. First pitch, 6:35. Great seats still available. In fact, I see the ushers wiping down the seats right now, getting everything ready for first pitch. I see the Louisville Bats out there taking batting practice. So Tom Brady had a docuseries called Man in the Arena, and it's great. It's on ESPN Plus if you have a subscription. I think they actually show some of the episodes now on ESPN with commercials.
Yeah,
but
they do.
It is a great docuseries. Now, I love Tom Brady, and so when the docuseries came out, I was like, oh my God, the behind the scenes of the Tom Brady dynasty. I just loved every second of it. But there was a very important episode to me. It's the 3rd episode, and it's called The Edgers. And you would think that's a weird name, The Edgers. And the Edgers were the players of the Patriots, the veteran players that led that locker room that were always trying to get an edge on one another. You showed up at 6 o'clock. I showed up at 5:30. I've got the edge on you. And Teddy Bruschi, Tom Brady, and Mike Vrabel all discussed the edge that the original Patriots dynasty had. Caroline watched that unbeknownst to me and made the assumption that I was going to be a pain in the ass for the rest of the week after watching that. And guess what?
And you've been a pain in the ass ever since.
She was right.
Yep.
Because that's just how Mike Vrabel is. In fact, there's one line in it where Vrabel says, I know it sounds like I'm joking, but I'm actually really serious. This week, Mike Vrabel, I think, has been taking shots at players on his own team. And I mean taking shots and sending messages. And think about, again, put yourself back in the edger. You know, wanting to get the edge on the Colts, wanting to get the edge on the Bills, on the Chiefs, on the Bengals, on the Patriots, on the Broncos, and thinking, boy, are we really doing this right? So Mike Vrabel was asked a follow-up question about this had to do with Treylon Burks, but I don't know if this was directed at Treylon Burks, but this is what Mike Vrabel said on Friday about guys working outside of the building.
I think it's hard to think that they can recreate, with a trainer, how we do things. And we see that with guys that have come back and started with our off-season program and guys that have joined a few weeks in. It's just different. And I know that they're working and they think that they are trying to get in shape, but that's just not the case. And so that's something that we have to focus on and try to make sure that we're getting some work in. But, with all of them, trying to be as smart as we possibly can, Jim.
So we thought at the beginning of that was about Burks because the question was about Burks and the subject matter was Burks. But, they think they can work with a trainer. This morning on SiriusXM NFL Radio, Solomon Wilcots, and SiriusXM NFL Radio is a real pat on the behind. It is a real moment of grab ass. And listening to Wilcots is trying to pump up Vrabel's tires, and listen to what Vrabel has to say.
Malik Willis, he actually quoted you after spending some time with Ryan Tannehill. I know Ryan Tannehill, some of the other veteran players, invited the rookies over to his home for dinner. They took the young players in, began to talk to them about the culture of the team. And Malik Willis came back saying, hey, exactly like Coach Vrabel has said, we're one big family here. These guys made us feel like we're part of a family. Just kind of what more can you say about that in terms of the culture that you want to instill with your players so that it spreads from veterans to younger players so that they get it from day one?
Well, I think it starts with, it starts with your personality. I think that we're all extremely blessed to be in this position, to be in the National Football League. We want to be grateful for the opportunity because we don't want to be entitled. We want to try to remove entitlement from our organization and our program, the belief that you deserve something for doing nothing. And it starts there. And it also, really starts with the connections that we make. We ask everybody to be willing to make a connection with the players and the coaches. And I understand that that's going to happen at different levels.
The idea of, Malik Willis says it's like one big happy family, and coach, how great is it? And it's we don't like the guys who are entitled, and that's where you get something for doing absolutely nothing. And then Charlie Wise, who is one of his coaches at the Patriots, and you talk about, patting each other on the rear end during the interview. It was like, how's your family doing? Well, my family's good. How's your family doing? Charlie Wise asked Vrabel about the offseason program. Listen to what Vrabel said.
Okay, so you got from now until September 11th when you open up at home against the Giants. Basically, what's the layout between now and then? Because I know that you're meticulous. You kind of have this all laid out. How's this laid out between now and then?
Well, we'll finish up here this week with our phase 2 work, which is great work, which is really my favorite time of the season, the off season, is because you get to work with guys that want to be here, right? This is voluntary. You work with guys that want to be here, that want to focus on technique and fundamentals and conditioning, things that we believe are critical to individual and team success.
Okay, so it's my favorite time of the season because the guys want to be here. I think Vrabel's mad. And I think Vrabel's mad because I think he looks at how he won as a player, which was the edgers, right? You watched 3 hours of film, I watched 4. And that's how he won as a player. And his team's not doing what he did. And we hypothesized earlier today about who that could be about. I think it's about Derrick Henry. But it could be about a whole group of players. It could be, here's who I know has talked at voluntary workout so far. Tannehill, Fulton, Nick Westbrook-Akina, Ben Jones, David Long Jr., Kevin Byard, and I think that's it.
Did you say Christian Fulton?
Yeah. I could be missing
and
one
Caleb
or two.
Farley's
there because Vrabel said he's there.
Yeah.
So those guys.
Austin Hooper.
I think it could be a whole group. I think it's directed at Henry because I think he's the leader. But I think it could be Henry, Simmons, Landry, and I don't know. These guys might be there. They might not be. Hooker, Lawan, Nate Davis, like they might be there, they might not be. We have no way of knowing until whenever the first voluntary practice is that's open to the media. But Vrabel's very clearly not happy. And this reminds me of a question that I asked TD and Chris on draft night, which was after we found out, both sides of the story on A.J. Brown, I asked them, does this kind of open you up more to maybe some questions about the Titans culture? And they were like, yeah, it kind of does. And now you have Vrabel and what he's saying. I mean, I think Vrabel's mad at his team. I think he's either mad at a group of members of his team or he's mad at an individual on his team. But that sounded exactly like the line in the Man in the Arena series where he goes, I know that it might sound like I'm joking, but I'm actually being really serious.
I think that he's either mad or he's setting the standard early. He's setting the expectations early that we expect you to be here. We expect a certain attitude.
Well, it's already late.
While you're
It's already too late to set the expectation. Because if you're going to set the expectation that we expect you here, but you haven't been here for a month,
then get here.
It's too late.
We expect you here.
It's too late.
It's not too late. It's May 17th.
It's too late. I think Vrabel's mad. I think Vrabel's frustration.
Nice.
Thank you. I think Vrabel's frustration is that these guys should be doing it on their own. That if these guys, and we've talked about, the Patriot way and the Patriot culture, and that if we're going to do things like the Patriots, they should already be done like the Patriots. I shouldn't have to tell you that you need to be here for voluntary workouts because I contractually cannot tell you that you have to be here for voluntary workouts. This is a choice that you have to make yourself.
And you also know he's mad whenever he interjected those comments when they really weren't solicited.
It's like Joe said last week that the Predators will go out of their way to tell you that nobody expected them to make the playoffs all the time. It'll be like, so,
yes.
Joe's example was great.
Well, nobody expected us to make the playoffs.
Joe's example was great. He was like, what happened to the penalty kill? Well, we were expected to be third in the Western Conference, And it's like that Vrabel is, here's Solomon Wilcots and these interviews. And I mean, I love SiriusXM and I love, NFL radio and everything. But these interviews sometimes, man, maybe I'm not cut out to do that kind of stuff because I just can't kiss butt like that. I feel so phony. But listening to some of these interviews, where they talk to the guys and they don't ask direct questions, but they ask it like that Solomon Wilcots thing of man, Malik Willis was talking about how it felt like one big whole family. And I mean, just how great is it to coach that? And how's that? Yeah, we don't want to be entitled. We don't teach entitlement where you get rewarded for doing nothing. It's like, whoa, he wanted to talk about that.
Not what I asked, but please go ahead.
So here's a question I have. 615-737-1025. Are we worried about the makeup of the Titans? 615-737-1025. Are we worried that the Titans, who I think, have the potential to be one of the toughest teams, maybe not one of the best teams, but one of the toughest teams, one of the, most, mentally strongest teams, the things that make the Patriots minus Tom Brady, do they really have that in them? Or are we worried that this is a team where the star wide receiver wanted $80 million guaranteed, and he, like Terrell Owens, got himself shipped out to Philadelphia? That, the running back who's the team leader that had surgery last year and didn't play great in the playoffs, regardless of why, is too busy doing his own thing. He's filming Heisman commercials. He's out in Dallas. He's doing whatever he's got to do. The left tackle's podcasting all the time. Are we worried? The quarterback had renovations. Are we worried about that? 615-737-1025 is the phone number, 615-737-1025. And if it's Derek, whose side are you on? We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company right here. It's ESPN 102.5, The Game.
Do you have that one person or thing that just makes you mad? Join us every Friday at noon on the DDC for You Just Made the List. Fueled by Parman Energy. Visit ParmanEnergy.com. Your one-stop petroleum solution, and TriStar Movie on the DDC on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
You just made the list.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture, eat strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with 3-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best Award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Realizing Geico has over 85 years of experience saving folks money and providing great customer service is like realizing there's a crumb tray on the bottom of your toaster, and you don't have to keep turning the toaster upside down to clean it.
How long has that been there? Hey, who needs some croutons?
It's something that's been right there in front of you all along, like the dedicated Geico claims team available to you in the event of an accident to get you back on the road quickly, or realizing that baby carrots are just regular carrots that have been shaved down.
I don't care. They're still cute.
It's something you can't believe you never realized before, like how Geico's 97% customer satisfaction rating means Geico is committed to providing the best service for their customers, or how you can peel the top layer of tape off a lint roller and there's a fresh layer underneath.
Marcy, wait till you hear about the lint roller.
You mean how the handle is reusable?
Wait, what?
Trust. It's just one of the many reasons to switch to Geico. They're all right there in front of you.
So many times guests come in with pictures from Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook and are amazed that we have those rings in stock.
David Cooper, Vice President at Genesis Diamonds, talking about how Genesis stays on the cutting edge.
We pride ourselves of staying ahead of the curve of fashion and seeking what's new, what's hot all over the world, what's hot all over the internet, and having that in stock for you, where other stores are still chasing styles that were cool maybe 5 or 10 years ago.
Why settle for an outdated style or a stale design? Make the switch to Genesis and get the ring of her dreams with over 4,000 cutting-edge choices from the top bridal designers in the world.
We have the designer looks that you see everywhere in stock in a variety of metals, a variety of sizes and shapes, and a variety of budgets, so every customer can have exactly what they want.
Genesis Diamonds and pre-owned Rolexes.
We are so honored and proud that so many people have made the switch to Genesis Diamonds and not only told their friends about Genesis, but have brought their friends to Genesis.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
If you've been thinking about remodeling your home's kitchen or bath, contact the countertop experts at Smoky Mountain Tops. Willie Donick here, and I'm proud to tell you about my longtime friends. We installed Smoky Mountain Tops surfacing in our kitchen years ago, and it's remained durable and super easy to clean up. Smoky Mountain Tops is proud to offer the new prestigious Vidara Quartz for your kitchen or bath countertops. Check out the stunning new Vidara Quartz shown at Smoky Mountain Tops Studio. Contact the pros at Smoky Mountain Tops. Quality, service, and dedication. SmokyMountainTops.com.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Malik Willis, he actually quoted you after spending some time with Ryan Tannehill. I know Ryan Tannehill, some of the other veteran players, invited the rookies over to his home for dinner. They took the young players in, began to talk to them about the culture of the team. And Malik Willis came back saying, hey, exactly like Coach Vrabel has said, we're one big family here. These guys made us feel like we're part of a family. Just kind of what more can you say about that in terms of the culture that you want to instill with your players so that it spreads from veterans to younger players so that they get it from day one?
Well, I think it starts with, it starts with your personality. I think that we're all extremely blessed to be in this position, to be in the National Football League. We want to be grateful for the opportunity because we don't want to be entitled. We want to try to remove entitlement from our organization and our program, the belief that you deserve something for doing nothing. And it starts there. It also, really starts with the connections that we make. We ask everybody to be willing to make a connection with the players and the coaches. And I understand that that's going to happen at different levels.
There you go. That was Vrabel. Boy, he is not happy about entitlement. You worried about the Titans culture?
I'm not, because of what Vrabel has been saying.
What? So Vrabel's been writing them about not being there. We're convinced that, Derrick Henry's in Dallas right now during voluntary workouts, and Vrabel's highlighting guys working with trainers and entitlement and...
It sounds like he's not going to stand for it.
I mean,
we wouldn't know what would be going on behind the scenes, and we wouldn't know his frustration unless he didn't air it. But he did air his frustration.
But he has no choice. He has no choice. Like the veiled shots like that, that's all he can do.
Yes.
He cannot go up to those guys and say, hey, I want you here for voluntary workouts.
No coach can.
You can't. Like, you literally will get fined.
I know that.
So he can't do it. So all he can do is what he's saying now. And those guys aren't there, or else he wouldn't be saying it. He's clearly not happy about it.
I know that. He's clearly not happy about it.
But so
if
you're
not
saying
happy
that,
about it, you can change it.
But he can't change it.
Not now. But once training camp comes along,
well, they have to go to.
They have to be there.
They have to go to training
camp. He can turn it around.
So you're worried about the culture now.
No.
But you think Vrabel will turn the culture around once training camp starts?
No, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it.
Why?
Because I don't think that Mike Vrabel is going to be the coach of a team with a bad culture.
I think Mike Vrabel's worried that might be out of his hands.
How is that out of your hands when you're the head coach?
Because I'll give you an example. You ever heard the term lost the locker room?
Yes.
You know how that happens? It doesn't happen because a coach is mean on one guy or because the coach isn't. It's when the players start to devalue what the coach has to say. It's when they no longer care or are no longer motivated by what the coach has to say. We went through that with the Predators. That's why Peter Laviolette's not here anymore. And you go back to that press conference, and David Poile was talking about how if I could fire the players, I would. But, I'm trying to change the coach. But what had happened was they had a bunch of young guys that were really hungry, that, made a little bit of money, but not a lot. They got to a cup final. They wanted to go at it again. Then guys started to get paid. Then the league started to catch up. Then they started to lose. Then it was like, man, does Johansson really want to be here? Or is he just collecting a check?
Well, do you think Ryan Tannehill would have shown up if he didn't need to? If he didn't feel like he needed to be there from the push from Mike Vrabel?
I don't know. Ryan Tannehill put up his Instagram picture on his boat and then denied it having anything to do with it. I don't know.
Then if he really
but
did not want to be there.
Why is Derrick Henry in Dallas?
I don't know.
Here's...
Then you can also use the argument of Derrick Henry had a 2,000-yard rushing season in 2020 when he didn't train at the facility.
Right. No, I agree. But I think that what Vrabel... I'm worried about the culture. And I'll tell you why I'm worried about the culture. Because everybody wants to be pumped full of sunshine and rainbows. Everybody wants to think, my coach will get this team no matter what. My coach will this, that. Everyone wants to believe that their team, that everybody's buddies, that everybody believes, that they all want to believe that.
But, I don't think anyone. At least I don't believe that.
But think about
what Vrabel believes that.
Think about what's transpired this offseason. The team had a crushing defeat, and at least they stood behind the quarterback publicly, which was important. But after that, everybody kind of goes their separate ways, and the first big nugget of information that really comes out is, the wide receiver wants to be traded, and the wide receiver wants all of his money. And then you hear stuff about, he wanted $80 million guaranteed or he wasn't going to step into the building. And then, he was told he was only getting $16 million. And how's that going to rub off on guys? And then the quarterback doesn't show up for voluntary workouts. And they tried to excuse it, not Vrabel. But there was, a line that was coming out when it happened about, a lot of the veterans aren't there early. This is just the workouts. This isn't on the field coaching. This is just the strength and conditioning workouts. And so, it was trying to be excused away. But I don't think Vrabel was excusing it away. And
I think that's the reason why I'm not overly concerned.
Oh, I'm concerned. Because what happens if these guys think they're too big for it? You don't bring them back in. They don't start listening again. Like if Derrick Henry thinks, my way is better than your way, that's going to cause friction. And then,
but I just don't see Derrick Henry as being that type of player with that type of attitude.
Of Derrick Henry being like, don't tell me what to do, coach?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know Derrick Henry personally, but I don't think I've ever gotten that kind of vibe from him.
I think the bigger thing, and we were kind of talking to Trevor about this, is what that one person represents. And I use Lawan as an example here. Lawan is fine on the team. He's not fine leading the team. Because all the extracurriculars, all the whining, all the penalties, when you're the leader, guys start to kind of follow that, and you don't want people following that. You want Lawan to do his own funky thing his way and just, play left tackle, but you don't want, him to lead the team. I mean, you know how embarrassing it is when a guy takes over as interim head coach and strips you of the captaincy?
Yeah.
That's a signal.
That's a punch.
That was a signal that Mike Mularkey just didn't think that Taylor Lewan had it in him. And I think we can all agree with that. Byard is the guy that they always laud all the time. The one guy whose contract they restructured, which basically means that they're locking themselves in for more of it, is Byard. And so Byard's there. If Derrick Henry's not there, I feel like Mike Vrabel looks at it not as Derrick won't be prepared to go for the start of the season. I think Mike knows that Derrick will be, will give Derrick Henry the best chance to succeed. But I think he worries about every player on the team seeing what Derrick Henry does and thinking to themselves, well, why can't I do what Derrick Henry did? And it's hard to argue, right? You can't look at every player and say, well, you're not Derrick Henry.
And you can't make exceptions for every player, because once you start making exceptions for every player, then you have no standard. You have no rules. I understand that. But I don't know if it's Vrabel. I don't know if it's the time of year that I just don't feel overly concerned about the attitude or the culture of this team.
You want to be a Patriots team, but you don't want to do things the Patriot way?
I never said I wanted this to be a Patriots team.
No, but they want it to be a Patriots team.
Yes, they do.
The way that they're trying to build it, you can't win if you're not a Patriot-style team. Like, you can't all of a sudden say,
well, then
all
that's
right,
why I think Mike Vrabel is coming out and doing everything he can do, right up to the line to get his guys in.
You can't be like, all right, let's just be like Jerry Jones Cowboys and get Michael Irvin doing all that cocaine at wide receiver.
Who is doing that?
You can't do it, though. That's the problem.
But who is doing it?
But again, guys that aren't all bought in, led by the team. The team does the leading. The coaches don't hold you accountable. The fans don't hold you accountable. The team holds you accountable. And if you're not getting that, you can't, this is not the style of organization that you wanted, and then you have to get those guys out and bring new guys in. That's like the whole Rashard Matthews thing a couple of years ago, where Rashard Matthews felt so disrespected by Matt LaFleur telling him he had to earn his spot back. And Vrabel and Robinson were trying to be like, dude, it'll be fine. Just go to practice.
Mm-hmm. Do your thing.
Wink, wink, you'll get your spot back. But they couldn't tell him. And he's like, no, I want my spot back. And they couldn't tell him that they're going to give him his spot back, because that's not how this organization is built. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Get back to practice and don't worry about it. Nope, I'm leaving. And they could not say, and this team needed him at wide receiver. They could not say to him, hey, dude, you're going to get your spot back. They can imply it, but they couldn't say it. Because saying it would be, hey, we're giving things away to you. We're giving you special treatment here because, you're kind of crazy and we don't want to deal with it. And that wouldn't have worked. And I just look at this team, and everything's about the team. And every time that they answer a question, they do what's in the best interest of the team, which is the Patriot way, which is the way that was the explanation when Bill Belichick decided to start Tom Brady over Drew Bledsoe, was Mr. Kraft puts me in charge of the team, and I have to do what's in the best interest of the team. And at one point in that press conference, Belichick spelled the word T-E-A-M out. And maybe I'm Tom Jackson in all this, because after the Patriots cut Lawyer Malloy, and there was a big hit about it, Tom Jackson went on TV and said they hate their coach. And that led into this whole thing of like, screw Tom Jackson. And they kind of galvanized the team over those Tom Jackson comments. Apparently, when they won the Super Bowl that year, Belichick got on the set for ESPN to do an interview after the game. And, Tom Jackson was on the set.
Yeah.
And so Tom Jackson had said like week 4 that year that he had said, they hate their coach. And the Patriots never let that go. So Belichick, 6 months later is up on the stage and everybody's shaking hands and everything else. And Belichick looks at Tom Jackson and says, screw you. But he didn't use the word screw. And so he gets up there and tells, Tom Jackson. But, that's the thing is I don't know, but I'm worried because the way the Titans are built is this team, they need to be there. They need to be there. Derek needs to be there. If it's Lawan, he needs to be there. If it's Nate Davis, he needs to be there. If it's Amani Hooker, they need to be holding each other accountable.
Well,
and
we
it
don't
makes
know.
me worried.
We can assume that Derrick Henry's not there because of the Instagram thing, but do we know that Taylor Lewan is not there, that Nate Davis is not there?
If it's the whole group that Vrabel's talking about, I'm talking about all of them. Like, even if he is there, he needs to be there. Like, Tannehill's there, and he needs to be there.
And he should, yes.
They need to be there. And the AJ contract left a really bad taste in my mouth about how that all was handled. And I don't mean by the team. I mean by AJ. I mean by the fact that, I won't step in the building if I don't have a new contract. That does not fly here. That does not fly here. And you can do that with Jerry Jones. Ezekiel Elliott went to Cabo a couple years ago. Zeke was holding out for his money. Remember, Zeke was working out in Cabo.
On the beach, yeah.
He was working out. And what ended up happening? Jerry ended up writing that check to Ezekiel Elliott because that's how the Cowboys operate. That's how the Chiefs operate. Here, it's like, you want more money? Like, okay, everybody wants more money. You want to negotiate in public? Goodbye. And that's how these kind of organizations operate. So, honestly, yeah, I'm worried about it. 615-737-1025. We went long there. Me just worried about Vrabel's words and what they mean. To your phones next. 615-737-1025. Stillman & Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hey, Preds fans.
Running across to make the save is Sarah.
You can now hear Nashville's best sports talk.
The backhander, he scores!
And every Predators game on 106.3 FM.
Oh, that was a thing of beauty.
From downtown Nashville to Rutherford and Williamson counties.
Duchesne with the overtime winner.
Catch all the action on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
From elegant to contemporary, Social Furniture has it all. And right now, get no interest financing on any purchase through Memorial Day. Save hundreds, even thousands on top brand name bedroom suites, living room and dining sets. Thousands of combinations in stock, ready for immediate delivery. All colors and styles are designer brand names, such as Woodhouse, Sealy, Serta, Kincaid, Bernhardt, Stearns & Foster, and Bassett. Shop local, shop social. Social Furniture opens 7 days a week on the west side on Charlotte Avenue in the Richland Creek Shopping Center.
The deals at Electronic Express are heating up. Prepare for Memorial Day with brands like Charbroil, Yeti, Samsung, LG, Vornado, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. Outdoor living, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, and more. Plus, save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com with free express delivery. Summer savings at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe here to tell you about Dr. Kelly Rice Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine. Dr. Rice, listen, we all have cavities, but what's the best way to try and keep them from happening?
Cavities are like any other health condition. You don't really know you have one until it gets bad. Recently, I saw a patient for treatment that they had been putting off. Something that could have been simple to fix 6 months ago turned out to need a root canal and a crown. Postponing treatment costs more and takes time away from work.
Nobody wants a root canal, so you're right. Regular checkups are very important.
Well, we do things differently. I want to let people know that if they're afraid of pain or worried about the cost, they are not alone. Don't be embarrassed. We understand. Give us a call at 615-373-4488. That's KellyERice.com.
Dr. Kelly Rice Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine. If you don't have dental insurance, no problem. Be sure to join their membership club. Just visit KellyERice.com or call 615-373-4488 now to schedule your cleaning and checkup. You'll certainly be glad you did.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Tonight,
Pritchard finds room for three. That's good.
the Eastern Conference Finals gets underway.
Max Strus is starting to ignite.
As the Celtics take on the Heat. Coverage begins at 7
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is John Hines, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Still in a company, I promised phones, so phones we will do. 615-737-1025. Phone line driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Aiden is up next. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Aiden.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I was wanting to say about the whole culture thing. I don't think the Patriot way is to say that you're not going to mentor someone young on your team. That doesn't seem like something that would be accepted if it was to say Tom Brady back on his Patriot days, if he were to say that he wasn't going to mentor some younger guys. Thank you for taking my call. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day.
You're the best, Aiden. Thank you for your call. I actually think that would be perfectly accepted by the Patriots.
Do your job.
Yeah, that's all they care about is just do your job. And that's been Belichick's thing for forever. And, you know, what was it that I went and found it in the book? Did I highlight it? I can't remember. But it was, I think I did highlight it in the Seth Wickersham book. And Floyd had told me this years ago, but like the actual, like the stories of who it was and what it actually was didn't actually add up. But the premise was the same, which makes me think that it was the same story, just details, you know, like the game of telephone.
Right.
Here's the Seth Wickersham book about the Patriots. So this is 2007. In camp, safety Brandon Merriweather, a rookie first-round pick out of Miami, lined up over Wes Welker. He told the Boston Herald it was an honor to cover, quote, one of the best slot receivers in the league. An innocuous compliment. But in a team meeting the next day, Belichick read the quote aloud and said, quote, Brandon Merriweather thinks Wes Welker is one of the best slot receivers in the league. How the blank would Brandon Merriweather know? You don't know anything, so shut the blank up. You know, it's kind of like, you don't know, just do your freaking job. And so when it comes to that whole mentor thing, first off, I thought Vrabel did a pretty good job of quashing it this morning on with Charlie Weiss, who was all mad about it, you know, which made no sense to me that Charlie Weiss got so mad about it because, I mean, did he expect Bledsoe in 2000 to mentor the 6th-round pick Brady, or do you think that he expect Bledsoe to do his job to get ready to beat the Colts and the Jets and the other teams?
From the sounds of it, he thought that Bledsoe should mentor Brady.
From the thoughts of it in reaction to Tannehill's comments.
To Tannehill's comments about
20
Malik
years
Willis.
later.
Yes. Because if he's going to apply the same logic with Tannehill, Malik Willis, then yes, he probably would have expected Drew Bledsoe to mentor Tom Brady. But to the caller's point, didn't Tom Brady lock Jimmy Garoppolo out of the weight room?
Yeah, no, he locked him out of TB12.
Out of TB12.
So he had an appointment for his shoulder to go to TB12, and they locked him out of it. And only once a Patriot staffer confronted Brady about it that they ended up seeing Jimmy at TB12.
Not mentoring. That's like going out of his way to be rude.
I mean, I think it's fair to say, like, Brady hates Garoppolo.
Oh, yes.
Like, the evidence is obvious, right?
The fact that the masses think that Jimmy Garoppolo is that MFer, yes, he hates Jimmy Garoppolo.
Trying to take his job.
And then he went to San Francisco, which is where Brady is from.
So a lot of people think that was Bill's way of sticking his middle finger to
Tom.
Yes. So, again, the way it worked was that they drafted Garoppolo. Tom was mad about it.
Yeah.
Then Tom wanted the commitment from Kraft. Garoppolo was a free agent, and there was a lot of talk that the Patriots could franchise tag Garoppolo. In fact, a lot of people think that it was Adam Schefter that told or that Belichick told Adam Schefter. You know, Schefter went on TV and had just the stupidest comment. Or maybe he went on WEEI, and he said the Patriots wouldn't trade Garoppolo for 4 number 1 picks. And like
that's just ridiculous.
Everybody was like, "What?" But there was like a thought that they could franchise Garoppolo and keep Brady at the same time. But Jimmy's contract was coming up, and they had to do something. And that's when Brady went to Kraft, and Kraft told Belichick to trade Garoppolo. And so, Cleveland had offered a first-round pick in the spring of that year for Garoppolo, and Belichick said no, and he took a second-round pick at the deadline from San Francisco, and the thought being that Bill got him, as far away from Bill as possible, so you'd have to go to the Super Bowl to see San Francisco.
Right.
and B, as a middle finger to Tom of, hey,
this is the team you grew up rooting for.
Yeah, I'm sending him where you want to play.
Yeah.
And then Brady, when he was a free agent, talked to Shanahan, and they considered switching to Brady, and they ultimately decided to stay with Garoppolo. And so it's obvious Brady hates Garoppolo. I never, ever expect Ryan Tannehill to hate Malik Willis that much. What else we got in the text line?
One texter texts into the text line and says Derrick Henry can do whatever the hell he wants to do as long as he's at Nissan Stadium on September 11th ready to go.
And if you ran your team like Andrew Reid runs the Chiefs, that would be fine. But that's not how this team's run. This team is different. This team is one of those Patriot teams. And those Patriot teams, and I know we just talked about Brady's transgressions, but once you stop listening to the coach, I'm reading Mike Florio's book right now, Playmakers. It's okay. I kind of expected more juicy details from someone that is quote unquote as plugged in as Florio is.
More tea.
It's just like recapping old stories or supplying details that I didn't know, but not like secret details. Not like this Brandon Merriweather story. It's just like, I didn't know that Ben Roethlisberger got in a motorcycle accident and lied about the injury. I'm sure a lot of people know that.
Juicy.
But I didn't know about that. But it's not like they're not direct details either.
Yeah.
It's okay. But basically, the theory was that Brady took less for all those years to save money on the cap, not because Brady wanted to have the money for all of his teammates for them to go get a better team around him, but that Brady took less because he didn't want to give Belichick a reason to cut him. That he was as afraid as what happened to Drew Bledsoe would happen to him. So by doing that, if you always look like you're helping the team out, then they can never come to you and say, we got to cut you because you're making too much money, when the opposite is true. So my whole point is we talk about losing the locker room or the coach, his voice going stale with the team. And I think that all changed for Brady after they drafted Garoppolo, when it was like, screw Bill. And I know they won another Super Bowl, that 18 season they won the Super Bowl, but it kind of had a different feel after the comeback against Atlanta when Brady went to Belichick and was like, I'd like a contract until I'm 45. And they were like, no. And then that was kind of when the screw Belichick stuff started happening. And then they lost to the Eagles in the Super Bowl and Gronk retired. And then they won that one. Then Gronk retired. Then it all fell apart. It kind of felt like Brady at the end was kind of tuning the coach out at that point. And he didn't go to voluntary workouts anymore because he was mad at the coach. And so that's when the Jimmy stuff was going on. So before that, Brady, model citizen, took less because he was afraid to be, he was afraid that the team would find a reason to cut him, and he didn't want that. So it's very long-winded way of not saying much there, apparently, for me. What's next?
Another texter says the coaches were the reason Derrick Henry got hurt in the first place. They overused him to cover their stupid mistakes on the field.
So I do not believe that UC Saros got hurt because of overusage, and I do not believe that Derrick Henry got hurt because of overusage. I might be wrong. I'm not a doctor, but I do not believe that.
Well, I think that Derrick Henry's carries were independent of his foot injury. I think that was a weird turf thing.
I thought that bullcrap turf in Indianapolis is what caused that.
And I think with UC Saros, it was a weird thing that his ankle just moved in the wrong direction or it got caught in the net, whatever it was. Yes, I think that both of those two were probably overused and that the way that they were used was unsustainable, but I don't think that the injuries are necessarily associated with the overusage.
So I would say that Saros stinking it up down the stretch was a product of the overusage.
Yes.
I do not believe that the ankle had anything to do with the overusage. 615-737-1025. We will get back into your phones. Plus, Mike Vrabel apparently had to rip the rookies this morning. We'll tell you how next. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
Let's put the green flag in the air and turn them loose.
Nashville's home for NASCAR.
He's going to try to make a big move here.
It's brought to you by the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. We are your racing station. ESPN 1025 and 1063 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Empire Auto Parts has opened a brand new location in Nashville, Tennessee. They're hosting a hiring event with giveaways, sign-on bonuses, and more happening at Holiday Inn Express at the Crossings, 201 Crossings Place, May 16th through 20th from 9 a.m. to noon or 2 to 5. Empire Auto Parts offers hourly pay, full benefits, 401k matching, and more. Current job openings for warehouse associate, delivery drivers, customer service agents, account managers, and dispatchers. Apply now on Indeed at Empire Auto Parts Inc. Jobs or visit their website at EmpireAutoParts.com.
I can walk again. I can cross my legs again. I can wear heels again.
After years of living with chronic joint pain, Andrea Southard is now living a normal life, pain-free, thanks to natural biologic treatments at QC Kinetics.
We tried everything, and my husband had heard the commercial for QC Kinetics on the radio, and he told me to call him and check it out.
That phone call changed Andrea's life. QC Kinetics used powerful natural biologics to treat her aching joints. It's high-tech precision medicine that can restore and repair damaged joint tissue with no surgery and no drugs, providing lasting relief.
I felt like I was in my 20s again. I could tie my own shoes. Really the little things that you don't think about.
Pain in your hips, knees, back, shoulders? Get rid of the pain now. Call QC Kinetics.
615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024.
Parman Tractor and Equipment is your one-stop tractor and equipment solution and Middle Tennessee's Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. Rent or purchase a track loader, mini excavator, large excavators for your job site, or something in between. Parman is now hiring and seeking qualified candidates for construction equipment truck drivers, service technicians, and more. Apply at parmantractor.com or call 615-865-7800. Come be an employee owner with the Parman team, your Middle Tennessee Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Meshing journalism.
They are 2 scores behind you. The math says that increases your chances of winning.
With sports fandom.
I stayed up till 1:30 in the morning, just emotionally numb from Titans and Packers.
And sarcasm.
You guys are the worst.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode. No duh. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
This is Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
So, Mike, we waited a couple minutes. You were talking to your players. What do you got going on right now?
Well, the rookies are in here, and they were in the weight room, and they left some towels in the hydro room yesterday afternoon. So I had to remind them and give them a little spanking about not leaving shit on the floor, Charlie, in the training room, because the trainers aren't responsible to pick up their stuff. But just explain to them that that's not why the trainers are here. They're here to help you and take care of you, but they're not here to pick up after you. So just gave them a little friendly reminder about that, and then we'll be out into meetings at 8:00.
You should have hired me. I'd be good at that job, Mike. That's one thing I could have handled for you.
I think I do a pretty good job at it, too. I don't mind it.
There you go, this morning on Sirius XM. So the rookies leave the towels on the floor in the training room. And Vrabel is late for his Sirius XM interview this morning because he had to have a team meeting. And he had to lay into the rookies. And I'm going to agree 100% with Charlie Weiss when he said that the way Vrabel explained it is not probably how it actually went down.
I'm laughing because he gave you the G version of what happened this morning.
Yeah, pick your stuff
but it wasn't. But I guarantee you, it was the X version what they heard. They didn't even hear the R version.
I mean, I will say this about Vrabel. I'm not really intimidated by Vrabel. Now, he could beat me up, but, he never would. An NFL coach is not going to fight a loudmouth talk radio host. So I'm not really worried about that.
Never say never.
I mean,
you say some crazy things.
Yeah, but like if Mike Vrabel did, like, I mean, he'd get fired.
And maybe arrested.
And I would sue him.
Yes.
Like, so I don't like I'm not worried about Mike Vrabel fighting me, if that makes any sense. But so I'm not like intimidated to ask Mike Vrabel an uncomfortable question. I'm also not like if I were to ask him an uncomfortable question and he were to like berate me for it, like I would sit there and I'd be like, why are you so mad? Or whatever. But, boy, I bet those rookies are scared out of their mind.
100%.
They left those towels on the floor, and Vrabel freaking just gave them the business.
Oh, and I'm sure just totally unleashed on them. Every F-bomb was flying.
I bet it was like a 1-minute need-to-know discussion, and Vrabel moved on. And the other thing I would say about it is this. If I were those rookies, I would not do that again.
Oh, absolutely not. And
Or
I think that's
Vrabel will be really
entire
mad.
intent of Mike Vrabel to just absolutely unload on them is do not let it happen again.
I hope these rookies are good guys. I hope they're not, and again, like I get it. These guys have never played in the NFL in their lives. They've never done anything like this. The idea of picking up your own towels in the NFL, like, isn't that what the NFL's about? Like, I'm not supposed to pick up my own towels. I'm in the NFL.
Yeah, they probably think that they're the coolest things in town. And it's a towel on the floor. Like, I have no reason to question someone's integrity or their personality because they left a towel on the floor in the locker room.
No, but I hope they're good guys.
But small things do turn into big things.
In this organization that is not a Cowboys Jerry Jones organization, in this organization, the little things do seem to matter. I promised phone, so let's go back to him. 615-737-1025. What do we have?
One texter texts in and says, Derrick Henry can do whatever he wants. We all know that he's going to be in shape, and no amount of practice is going to tell you if he's going to be the same Derrick Henry that he was pre-injury.
So I just think that these people that are saying this stuff about Derrick Henry have never played on a team before. Like, they've never played a team sport in their life, and that includes high school. Because Derrick Henry can do this on his own. But just because you can do it on your own doesn't mean that you should do it on your own, and it doesn't mean about the message that it sends to the team. Belichick, even though it's voluntary and the coach isn't really allowed to tell in the Seth Wickersham book, Brady and Giselle built this new house. Floyd was amazed. They built this mansion house in Los Angeles. And then maybe like a year after they moved into it, they sold it to Dr. Dre for like $50 million. And he was amazed at how big and just how huge
Just
this
a
house was.
behemoth of a house.
And so for that voluntary program, Giselle wanted to stay out there. So Brady stayed out there, and he worked out there, and he did all that kind of stuff. And Bill eventually was like, dude, Tom, like, we need you around the guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we need you around
You're the quarterback.
guys. And so Brady begrudgingly was like, okay, fine. And then he built that Brookline house, and then he sold that house to Dr. Dre, and then he moved out back to Boston. And until he got mad at Belichick, he went to all the voluntary stuff. There's a story that Duron Harmon told. I forget where I read it. But I think he's on the Raiders now. But Duron Harmon was a longtime Patriot defensive back.
Uh-huh.
And he got drafted by the Patriots in like the 4th or 5th round. And the story is that he's just signed his contract, or he was rookie minicamp or something like this time of the year. And he's in the bathroom using the urinal. Tom Brady stands up and walks to the next urinal right next to it. And as they're both using the urinal, Tom Brady goes, hey, Duron, I'm Tom. And he's like, hey. And he's like, yeah, man, I saw we drafted you in the 5th round. I saw all the things you did at Rutgers. I'm really excited to have you on the team. Like, super awesome. If you need anything, let me know. And again, this is all going on at the urinal between Tom Brady and Duron Harmon. So when they're done, and I would assume and I hope that they both washed up, after that, Duron Harmon said that he went to his locker and he grabbed his phone and he called his then girlfriend, who is now his wife. And he was like, oh my God, Tom Brady knows who I am. And there's like an element of that you want. That is, if Brady is going to do this, then I have to do this. And in this team, and in this locker room with this team, Derrick Henry's that guy. Where I think that if Derrick Henry carries himself a certain way, I don't just think it's about Hassan Haskins, but I think it's about the entire team looking up to Derrick Henry. That it's Nick Westbrook-Akina looking up to Derrick Henry. Just because a guy plays a different position doesn't mean that you can't be friends with him or that you can't look up to him. And I think that Vrabel and again, I'm making the assumption with no evidence that it's Derek that he's talking about, but I think he wants Derek there. And I get why he wants Derek there.
And I think he wants everyone there. I mean, Derrick Henry's not alone in that.
And I bet Vrabel just feels so powerless because there's nothing he can do to make them be there for voluntary.
I mean, I think he's doing everything he can do.
The old days, like voluntary was mandatory and everybody knew it. Now we live in this new weird, sports is different now and I think life is different in this sense of like, if you're an employee, I think like in my dad's generation and especially like my grandfather's generation, like if the boss told you to do something, you absolutely did it no matter what.
And there's no dress code really. Like back in the day when people wore suits and ties and dresses
Everywhere.
and heels, I used to wear joggers to work.
Everywhere.
Like no dress codes. I think overall things are just less intense.
But I think there's more of like I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And then the employer's like, what do you mean you're not going to do that? It's like, I'm just not going to do it. I just don't want to. And it's like, what? Because, again, like 40 years ago, I mean, people were never doing stuff like that. And now it's just like, yeah, I don't want to play for this team anymore. I just won't show up. What? And before, like, society used to look down on that stuff. Like, a guy would threaten a holdout and be like, bad guy.
But now it happens, and
now it's like, hey,
okay,
dude's got to get his money
he's
now.
holding out.
He's got to get his money. Elijah and Michelle are coming up next with the 6. Elijah was sitting in for Ian today. So, Elijah, what is coming up today on the 6?
We're going to dip into a little bit of that Preds press conference that's going to be taking place on Thursday. What exactly do the people of Nashville need to hear about this team moving forward, and what does it say about the future, as well as what you guys just talked about here? What's the culture with the Titans like, and what's the worst chewing out you ever got for anything like leaving towels on the floor in locker rooms? A lot of fun stuff leading up to Celtics and Heat in Game 1 tonight, which will come on right after us.
I'm going to say this. I worked for Jeff Walls in college, so I got some serious chewing outs in my life now. I mean, I love that man, but I got some serious chewing outs. And I will say this. I deserved like 99% of them. So, but boy, did I get chewed out sometimes. That's going to do it for us. We're out of here. Elijah and Michelle are coming up next on that Preds press conference. Stillman